Miami 3-1 in their first-round playoff series after a 112-98 win on South Beach last night. Derek White hit 8 three-point shots on his way to career-high 38 points to lead the Green. They led by 20 with 7 minutes left and kept the Heat at arm's length the rest of the way. Game 5 is back at TD Garden tomorrow night. That's the good news. The bad news is Kristaps Porzingis pulled up in the second quarter while dribbling the ball and had to leave the game immediately with what's been termed right calf tightness. Al Horford is hoping his team's starting center returns quickly.
I'm worried, just concerned. Anytime that any of your guys go back there, especially him, the way that he was walking, Al definitely concerning for me.
ESPN is reporting that Porzingis will have imaging today. Early indications are he did not suffer an Achilles injury. The Patriots yesterday re-signed defensive lineman Christian Barmore to a 4-year, $92 million contract extension with $41.8 million guaranteed. The team has also released offensive lineman Connor McDermott. In other NFL news, Kansas City has re-signed Travis Kelce to a 2-year, $34.25 million contract extension. The Bruins had last night off. They played Toronto at TD Garden tonight, leading that playoff series 3-1. Judd Surratt and Bob Beers have the pregame at 6:30. The face-off at 7 on the New England Honda Dealers 98.5, the Sports Hub Celtics Bruins radio network. Jim Montgomery said yesterday Derek Forbort and Justin Brazeau are ready to go, but are not sure bets to return this evening. Brad Marchand and Danton Heinen were both given maintenance days at practice yesterday. The winner of this series will play Florida. They blew out Tampa Bay last night 6-1 to win that series in 5 games. And the Red Sox had last night off. They play San Francisco at Fenway Park tonight. Yesterday, the team officially activated newly acquired first baseman Garrett Cooper and designated Pablo Reyes for assignment. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 the Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
Hold everything 98.5 the Sports Hub has to offer in the palm of your hand. Palm of your hand.
I need that.
Listen live. Get breaking news.
I need it.
Download the Sports Hub app. Ta-da! We're back with Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 the Sports Hub.
Fred, hello. 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 Mm-hmm. Hello. 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 Hello.
He's naked. He has a sword.
Let's talk about cheese.
Bruins are back from the West Coast.
What the
Is it okay to use this for the radio?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Welcome to the show, you sweet.
Putrid odor. The smell.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Toucher and Hardy, Town Fair Tire Studios, 617-779-0985. We are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. And it's very exciting. You can watch us on YouTube every morning. It's the future. It's this new thing. And we do ASMR after. We do an hour of ASMR. Straight tapping.
Yeah, can we put other, our own independently creative videos on the YouTube channel and have them?
I've been banned several times because they're solo. It's like the Simon Rex tape. It's not gay because it's just me, but it's really targeted towards gays.
Sure.
That's in terms of the marketing targeting you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Simon Rex didn't do anything gay by making the video of himself, but the video was almost exclusively targeted towards gay males.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. And then he went on to perform in an independent film as a porn star.
I worked with a guy in Albuquerque. I never knew what he did while we were there. He was just kind of hanging around some of the radio people and stuff. He was living in a house with another guy I worked with. And this is really, in shape, good looking guy. He may have been a snowboard instructor or something, but years later, someone told me, oh, he's doing some modeling and sent me a link. And it was Playgirl magazine, which I did not know was still a thing. And I also did not know that Playgirl was not necessarily purchased by women to look at naked men.
I almost assure you, and feel free, young ladies, to call in, all of you that are listening to this show, if I'm wrong, but I don't think women are huge on seeing the penis as something to get in the mood. I'm not sure that of all the things on a man that the penis is absolutely necessary for them to see.
Yeah.
But do you know the story? Because John certainly does, because I only have so many. We've been on for a long time. But my friend in Atlanta that was splitting time between New York and Atlanta. So he was splitting time between New York and Atlanta, so he sublet his condo. And he sublet this condo to this large African-American gentleman, and he was a good, nice guy who paid on time. And he got an email, much like you did, from a friend that said, "Oh no, you got to see this." And he went and looked at it, and the man was an entrepreneur. He was in the tech field. He had his own webpage, which were almost heroic feats of gay endurance and ability.
I like how you call it heroic.
Almost heroic. Like, I mean, these were real Guinness Book of World Records kinds of things.
Is gay endurance different from heterosexual endurance?
I don't know why.
No. But for no.
Okay.
No. Or just like the feats that were able to be accomplished. In terms of the body's
flexibility.
Yeah, right.
A bit more.
Like, what is it? Like the what do they say? When with the brain, like you can the polyon. I don't know whatever it is. Neuroplasticity, like the plasticity. So he goes and he's like, okay, well, so you think, oh, big deal. The guy's like a gay porn guy, and then you go, oh no, he's shooting all of this content in the place my friend owns and lives in half the time. Yeah. And it was difficult to get the guy out because, like, it's impossible, I guess, to get people out. Then when he got the guy out, like, then there's real stuff going on there. Not just, like, not just your average gay sex, like a lot of like stuff not so traditional.
Mm-hmm.
And so my friend had to like, there was carpet. He had to, like, take all the carpet out.
Yeah,
like,
you got to hazmat the place. Sure.
He basically like, for some reason, painted all the walls again. Like, he just,
I wonder too.
like, because you can't, like, it's a condo. You can't, like, power wash the thing. So he just, he had to just redo. I think he took all the furniture out.
Yeah, you go over that thing with a black light. You make sure all of it's gone.
I don't know if you ever want to go over it with a black light. And I don't know if a black light, because I don't know if you'd ever be able to completely clean it. And second of all, I'm not sure a black light would pick up everything.
Well, you do the best you can, I guess is my point.
No, I know. But, yeah, it was quite a Herculean undertaking, not unlike what the man was doing.
I know you've talked about this before, Fred. I don't think you and I have had the opportunity yet to discuss this on our show, but I've spoken about it independently also. Doesn't matter what genre really of adult film you're making. The word on the street from people who have been on the sets is it's the smell. The first thing that you notice when you're on, when you're in the proximity of one of those films being produced, shot. The scenes, they're like, you have no idea. You really have no idea. It seems like an erotic thing if you're especially creepy. It's like, oh, I'd love to be there when they're making a porno. And they say, yeah, you have no idea what the smell of that place. There's a lot of, just a lot. There's a lot, John.
See, I didn't know that. I have heard.
Talked about, I swore I heard you
no, I just know that from people that I've talked to, because obviously being in radio and like rock radio, you have like porn girls in, and then they're usually accompanied by muscle, and a lot of times that muscle is also works in the movies. That it's really no fun, and it's basically the guys that are in it. It's like not fun. It's just like a magic trick. They just have this ability despite all the odds against them, to be able to perform. And and then the more that veil gets lifted, the less it's enjoyable to consume the product.
Yes.
Because it's very businesslike and not so glamorous. Not so glamorous. That's why there was only, before all the pills and shots and everything, there was only like 5 guys. It's like if you're watching something from like the mid 80s to like mid 90s, probably about 6 guys in those movies.
And your friend's tenant was doing these films around what era? What year was this taking place?
I lived in Boston, so like late, like 2006, 2007, 2008.
I would still put that in the era before like all the drugs were available. So yes, I think hero is the right word to use for that guy. I mean, he was performing heroic feats.
Heroic, more like a superhero feats, like like Plastic Man or something.
Yeah. Not so much like a disease researcher or firefighter hero.
No, not a hero like in terms of doing something very good for the world. I'm talking about just the ability for the body to adapt to its circumstances.
Yes.
Now, I never saw it, so it could all be. It definitely happened, but I can't tell you for
never
sure.
saw it. Come on.
No, I was told not to. I was told like don't look, like because I've obviously seen gay porn. Like I've obviously seen it. Like it's come up, by accident. Remember when Crash used to just be like, "Yeah, I watch it." Because I'm sure you've like gone, "Oh, that's like a good-looking girl in the thumbnail," and then clicked on it and you went, "Oh, there's 2 guys, okay," and then went, "Oh, the 2 guys are into each other," and then you've seen it, and it's not gonna not be seen. I mean, you've seen it. Now you got to go to something else or stop altogether if that's your proclivity. But I was told that this is nothing that I needed to see. That this was bad news, and I don't even know what Ben's condo looked like either because I'd never been in it. So it wasn't like I was going to look at it and go, "Oh yeah, that's his place."
Yes,
I sat in that chair.
Yeah, like there wasn't a picture of like him and his parents, like it was of no use to me to see. But it's definitely true. I know it happened because the story got funnier and funnier because like the hassle of taking everything out of there was really nagging at him, and he didn't live in Atlanta, right? Like he lived in New York, so he had to get all this done. Like he would come back for the weekend and have to stay at a hotel because he had to get all this, and he wouldn't stay at the place. I wouldn't either.
Not a chance.
Fluids. I mean, lots of fluids. Fluids everywhere. I mean, you name it, they were doing it. It was just all dudes. There's not a woman to be found, but they were doing it. Let your imagination soar.
There's only a couple of things you can go to, and
they're all covered. It's gross. Like it's gross. And any way, it's in.
But in particular, there's a couple of them like heterosexual, homosexual, but there's
there's some of it that regardless of gender is gross.
Exactly.
If it was men and women doing it, was gross. It's just funnier that it was gay.
Yeah, well, and it's just
there's a lot of things that make it funnier. Like I mean, it was pretty funny. Like it's a very explicit subset of pornography,
right? Which
makes it very funny. No, if it was just like
I can make a much better.
If it was just gay guys making romantic sex films, I mean, it would have been funny, but I don't think the necessity. There's definitely nothing rooted in homophobia with his cleaning of the apartment. Like it makes it way funnier, but like like if it was just like romantic, like gay porn, I don't think that it would have. I don't think he would have taken the carpets out. Like I think he would have probably kicked the guy out and gone, "You can't make porn here." I think it's probably not legal anyway, right? Like if they got caught, like are you allowed to like run a business out of your house like that?
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, I got to think that. Well, anyway, it's a headache and you can't have it.
You need a license. I mean, you SAG, AFTRA. You got to get the unions involved.
Right.
Sure. I mean, and if you're going to get a Hustler to review it, there's lots of hoops you have to go through.
Well, that's just
And you know how
politics.
they grade the movies.
That's politics, Fred.
You're aware of how Hustler grades pornos from your youth, aren't you?
I'm sure.
stages of arousal.
Yeah, that's right.
With a visual component to it.
1/4 erect.
So there you go.
I don't know.
Johnny just took it home.
I don't know, because when I was looking at Hustler, I wasn't reading the articles, nerd.
Yeah, right. Because when there was one hustler in the neighborhood, you didn't devour the thing from cover to cover in between.
Looking at the ads. Anything.
You weren't chuckling at Chester the Molester, that wacky cartoon that they had in there, which you just went, this is so wrong. If you had any morality, you would look at a hustler, like, as much as I think Larry Flint's funny, and just go, this is not right. I remember just feeling so guilty after looking at Hustler. And then, like, thinking about, like, going to hell. And that was, like, really the only times I thought about going to hell. Like, I was like, this is...
Really?
Yeah, like, this is, like, against the will of God. Like, God doesn't want us looking at this. And I don't look at, like, pornography that way. I just looked at Hustler that way. Like, they had a cartoon, Justice.
I think it's the tactile experience of being able to hold it in your hands, and you're like, yeah, God is not smiling on me right now.
Well, also, a movie's a movie. There's not, like, the articles are specifically what made it so bad. I mean, there was also a photo shoot that was supposed to be in a woman's colon, which was in one my friend had.
Oh.
All right, very good. That's enough of that.
No,
We can stop that now. It's 6 a.m. All right, what's coming up, Hardy?
Celtics played last night. We have other NBA news to get to, and yeah. Or we could just shut it down. The equipment hasn't been able to cool down for years around here, so we could just take some quiet time.
We could just take the rug out,
yeah,
and do it here. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub. In your footy pajamas, this is how Boston sports fans start their day.
I bet you're just jealous.
Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Did you catch a game last night?
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. Hardy, what happened last evening?
The Celtics were in Miami. I don't know if you heard, Fred, but they took their talents to South Beach. And that was going to be a pivotal game for this crew as they dropped the second of the games in Boston, but they picked up a win in Game 3, and now they have a chance to come back home with a 3-1 series lead. And how were they going to do it? Well, they did it with a lot of help from Derek White.
They are getting restless here in Miami. Boston by 12 on the ball. Jaylen Brown for Derek White straight away. Hate check, deep three, got it. They wanted it to be a whiteout tonight, and that's exactly what it has been in the first quarter. 16 for Derek White.
Oh, see, they wanted the crowd all wearing white, and then instead it's a Derek White whiteout.
I get it.
Scoring so many basketball baskets.
If you wanted to clothe the homeless in Miami,
yes,
you just had to go after the game and pick up all the shirts that were
a lot of empty seats in that building for a while there.
I mean, I can understand why. I mean, I wouldn't want to go either, but I'm surprised there weren't more Celtics fans there. Like, it wasn't sold out with Celtics fans. Maybe because it's just such a bad series that even the Celtics fans don't want to go. Because usually, obviously, there's a ton of people from up north in Miami. You would figure that there's a bunch of, like, annoying Celtics fans at the game. But no such luck. There was just a lot of empty seats with the white shirts on them.
And it was all Derek White.
A lot of people on Twitter very incredulous about the lack of fans there.
Yeah. Well,
and I just like, all right, would you have gone?
Remember, it's Monday night. Are you going?
I wouldn't go.
I would not. That's not.
No, I would have no desire to go to that game.
That's not a game I don't think I would go to.
Derek White, bounce pass for Peyton Pritchard. Shut off at the free throw line. Kick out Derek White. 2 dribbles to the left hand. Shot clock already at 4. White has to take a tough fall away 3, and of course he hits that too. It's been his night. The whiteout continues. He's got 19, and the Celtics lead 44-31.
Man, when you catch on to something, you just hang on to it with dig your nails in.
But that's not the only reference you can make to the man's last name.
Tyler Hero having a rough go. Derek White, another pull up 3, and he's got it.
That man is hot. White hot.
He's very nearly outscored the Heat by himself in the first half.
See, it's a white out. He's white hot. He's okay. Now, this game, of course, had a couple of scary moments. One of them we still don't know about, of course, Kristaps Porzingis, first and foremost, who pulled up with what is now being called right calf tightness.
Yes.
And there were immediately in the moments following, Chris Forsberg went onto Twitter and reminded us of all the things that Kristaps Porzingis has missed out on this year due to various ailments in his lower extremities. Games that he's missed because of calf and ankle issues on the left side. Games that he missed more recently with calf stuff on the right side.
Yeah, it's the calf that he wasn't wearing the sleeve on, and it seemed like no contact. I guess Harrell had his foot on his foot for a second. I mean, it wasn't anything major.
Yeah, they showed the replay earlier.
Yeah,
and he like stepped on the foot and turned the ankle a little bit. Whatever. Right calf tightness could be anything.
Well, Porzingis obviously thought it was his Achilles because he was like putting his jersey over his face when he walked off the court, which I think wasn't so much pain as it was
fear.
Yeah, like disappointment.
Yeah.
And but it's not good. Like, I can't imagine that it's just something that is good. I mean, the guy's, again, he's got a body that's not built for this game.
Happens every year to him. Just take a look back. It takes you 5 seconds. He misses an average of about 15 or 20 games every year, and the Celtics tried to put him in bubble wrap all season, and here we are. And even if it's a calf strain, even if that's all it is, take a look at Giannis. Giannis hurt himself 3 weeks ago against Boston. You remember that at the end of the season?
Yes.
He still hasn't played 3 weeks ago tonight.
Yeah, and if
So-
you're Bobby Portis, you got to get yourself kicked out of a game, so you just get out of there and don't have to live with it.
Boy, Milwaukee, that worked out really well for them. No Lillard. Portis gets himself kicked out of the game.
I think. Do you think Portis did? This is off tangent, real quick. But do you think Portis got himself? If you don't know Bobby Portis, there's no Lillard and no Giannis in the last playoff game. Milwaukee
Middleton's
played.
playing hurt. Yes.
Yeah, and so it's basically Bobby Portis has a chance to shine. And he gets in a fight right at the beginning of the game and gets himself kicked out of the game. Do you think he did that on purpose?
That's the first thing I thought of.
Yeah, that's the
I
first
thought
thing
the
I
same
thought
thing. Look, there's nobody here. We're going to get embarrassed. I don't want to stick around for
Which
this.
is such a good character trait.
I know. That's the guy I want.
It really is. Well, everyone's sick, so I'm just going to be sick too. All right, so go ahead. So, the deal is, yeah. So Porzingis is very fragile, as everyone knows. His body is not built to play this much basketball. It's just not. He's tall and thin, and he gets injured all the time. And the way he pulled up, you're right. I would imagine they'd know if it was Achilles by now, and it's not, which is great news for everyone. But I don't think it's good. I don't think he's going to play a lot. Like, I don't think that it's just a matter of like a couple days, or like if they beat the Heat in the next game, like they'll have some time off, so that will be enough time. I don't think he's going to play for a while.
No, think about it now. Denver won last night. I don't know if we're going to get to that, but Denver did win last night, so they play Minnesota next. That series starts, I think, Sunday. So if the Celtics win tomorrow night, you figure they get 2-3 days off, and then they start again. So this is something that could most definitely linger into the next series or the middle of the next series.
Well, I can't imagine that he's like 100% again. I mean, I'm just pontificating, and I don't have any idea, but I can't imagine that he's just all of a sudden going to be like, okay, like 100% okay.
Sure.
I'm sure he'll be able to play, but I just don't. I don't know. I have no faith, and I never have.
This is a tricky thing. I mean, remember when Giannis got hurt? I mean, we were sitting here talking the morning after.
I thought it was no big deal, and that he would be back.
And here we are. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen him, and Giannis is a much more durable player than this guy.
If he's actually built for the game. Like, the whole thing with Porzingis is that he's got a elite size and elite skill sets for that size, in that he can handle the ball, he can shoot threes. Like, I mean, he's built for the NBA. His kryptonite is his body, is that he's too injury prone.
Same kind of injury.
And other leg.
Giannis just running back up the floor, pulled up lame and sat down. Porzingis is dribbling a basketball. Nobody touched him. Mm-hmm. Pulled up lame. Same thing.
And now both legs are hurt. Like, it's just not good.
Yeah. Forsberg went back to that last night. 7 games in November and December for the left calf. 8 games with the right hamstring soreness management in March and April. So it's both sides. Now, does anyone think they can't finish off Miami without Porzingis?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they can take care of that.
There's no way.
Giannis and Embiid are on the verge of getting eliminated, so there are no big dinosaurs out there. But
you've seen them struggle.
Giannis and Embiid would destroy Porzingis anyway. So Porzingis's availability on the court doesn't bother me defensively.
No, it's more about what he has. He hit a deep 3 last night. That is it's those are the shots that you can't defend, you can't account for.
Offensively, he would scare me.
Yes.
He's another weapon.
He's another weapon, and they have struggled at times without him. There was a Pacers game earlier this year where the narrative afterwards they didn't have Porzingis.
That is true.
And that pissed me off because between Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Derek White, who has ascended, and he is a legitimate player on this team.
It's a whiteout.
It's a whiteout. But he had even before that.
Imagine
last year, you can't beat the Pacers unless you have Porzingis.
Imagine if him, Hauser, Cornette, and Pritchard all were on the court and they all scored 30, and then it would be a real whiteout. Be a Caucasian cacophony.
Cornette.
See, I like that. We'll have T-shirts made up.
Caucasian cacophony.
Sure.
It's a whiteout. It was white hot, and of course, you know what the Celtics did.
Caleb Martin dribbles out to the wing. Let's see if he's going to shoot. He will, forcing up a 3. No good. Tatum will grab the rebound. The clock will hit triple zeros. And the Boston Celtics, again, have taken their talents to South Beach and are going to leave with another win. Their 6th consecutive win in this building, 4th in the postseason. and they take in the commanding 3-1 lead. The final score in Game 4, Boston 102, Miami 88.
There it is. Okay. Tomorrow night, they have a chance to close things out at home. I mean, I wonder if that will get brought up, the fact that they sneaky not good at home in the postseason here of late, going back to last year.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. But
Okay.
I'm not worried about Miami. What I am worried about is teams. For instance, Cleveland is a very big team. They have Jared Allen. They have Evan Mobley. That's where you're going to miss Porzingis. And Porzingis on the defensive end, I mean, he hasn't played enough games to qualify to lead anything, but this guy blocks a couple of shots a game and alters a lot of them. I mean,
but
it's
we've
a
talked
deterrent.
about
You have to change what you do defensively if he's not on the floor.
Sure. It's just that, Horford's too short and Porzingis is too slight for the huge Jokic and Embiid type centers. But then again, how many guys can guard them? Except Minnesota.
Horford, I will say Horford's better at it Embiid-wise than Porzingis is.
He is.
Yeah.
Because he can kind of deal with his girth.
Yes.
But not so much his length.
I'm
which
still
is the problem Ben had.
I'm still confident in them being able to take care of Miami. I just wouldn't be shocked if Miami comes in here tomorrow night and wins.
I would.
You know, after the last couple of games.
Yeah, they don't look like
it all depends. Look, Miami had one of those nights in Game 2. They shot the lights out. They're never going to do that again.
Oh,
they tried.
John,
They've tried. They're not going to do that again.
They completely disengaged last night. After White dunked over Bam last night
twice,
he was checked out. And then he pulled that nonsense, was stepping into Tatum after the shot afterward, and Tatum rolled his ankle. It's like, all right, that wasn't cool. Now they're just getting sloppy and frustrated. That's fine. But Celtics have a convincing win. They were up, 27 at one point last night?
27 in the second half.
So now, what's the spread for tomorrow night's game?
That's a good question.
14 and a half. Does it remind you of anything? Maybe after Game 1 where the Celtics went out there and rolled, and then they became a 15 and a half point favorite in Game 2?
13 and a half.
Okay.
13 and a half.
I'm just don't lose sight of what's going on here. Every game, especially at the Garden, John, that they should have won.
Sure.
Going back to last postseason.
They're under 500 in their last 30 playoff games at the Garden. Yes. They are. They haven't played well.
They're only going to get this win tomorrow night if they flip the script on what's been happening in postseason in that building against teams that they should be.
Specifically
going back
against,
to last year.
Specifically against this team, however, Miami will never shoot as well from 3 as they did in Game 2.
Okay, if you want here's some stuff on Porzingis. He was in a walking boot after the game. He tweeted.
Yes.
He said, "Good W tonight. D. White is special. Thanks for all the support. We'll be good with arm flexing."
Mm-hmm.
So I look for him to be back on tomorrow. And it does not move the Vegas line for Game 5, Porzingis' absence. So take that, Hardy.
What do you think a Porzingis arm flex looks like? Is it like a Bowser from Sha-Na-Na situation?
I think it's very disappointing. Yeah, well, for Bowser's size, he should not have been flexing like that. It was not an impressive muscle.
Mm-hmm. All right, some other NBA action from last night is what we will talk about.
All right, lots of NBA action, baby. Yeah. Lots of round ball in the hardwood. You got that right. All right, we'll have that for you. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines. 98.5.
Hardy brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Hardy, there was other things besides that Celtics game?
Yeah, Celtics.
Edge of your seat.
Yeah, Celtics have a chance now to close things out tomorrow night as they have a 3-1 series lead. But that was the case last night for both the Denver Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder, both up with 3 wins going into their games last night for the Nuggets and Lakers. It was Game 5. Denver at home with a 3-1 series lead, and it was a tie game, just like it was when these two teams played last week. And the Denver Nuggets radio announcers were perplexed as to why the Lakers were not fouling in a tie game when Denver had the ball seemingly for the final possession of the game. Last night, LeBron James to the free throw line. He ties the game. Nuggets with the ball again. So I'm assuming they're going to have the same question this time.
Lakers can take that L on the way out.
Oh, that's just the very end of the game.
Along with that whistle, Denver takes care of La La Land for the second game in a row.
Okay. As bad as I thought it was that the announcers were perplexed last week why the Lakers weren't fouling in the last seconds of a tie game, last night they didn't ask that question, but instead he decided to go with La La Land.
Yeah.
Lakers can take that L on the way out. Along with that whistle, Denver takes care of La La Land for the second game in a row.
Yeah, a bunch of left-wing nuts out there in La La Land.
They won the NBA championship last year. This is the first round.
I'm moving to
of
Austin.
the playoffs.
Hollyweird.
I don't like. Yeah, you
Take
got
it
that
back
right.
to Hollyweird.
You got that right. I mean, over there in California, you know what they got there in California?
Yeah, yoo-hoo.
Yoo-hoo, hello. Yeah, a little bit of excitement there from that guy. That kind of like the Knicks fans after the game in Philadelphia, putting the Knicks jersey on the Wilt Chamberlain statue and everything after a first-round
non-clinching win. Yes.
Just a lot of excitement around the first round of the NBA playoffs.
Took a while for Jokic to get going last night, but he finished with 25 and had 20 rebounds. So he was doing everything that he needed to.
That's with Anthony Davis, by the way, following him around. That's pretty good. Yeah.
And Jamal Murray was on fire. He had 32 points last night. So
yeah, they were showing what Jokic was doing to Anthony, like off ball. The way that the Lakers were guarding that pick and roll was that they were putting Davis on Jokic's hip so he couldn't get over to Murray and get the separation needed to do the pick and roll. And they were showing he was basically like a defensive end, just swim moves and bumping them, like just very physical between the two of them. That's not going to be fun for anyone. But Minnesota... They've got bigs. Minnesota, Denver. That's going to be a little bit of a series of Rooney, if you ask me, if I may be so bold.
Yeah.
And before we move on from this series, let's talk about the man who is leading the charge, LeBron, leading the losers back to La La Land.
Yeah, take it back there with your commie crap.
30 points asked after the game.
Tonight, was there any thought at all that this could have been your last game with the Lakers?
I'm not going to answer that.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
oh, LeBron, could you please answer that?
No.
You're not going to answer if you were thinking that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy. But thanks for appreciating the question.
Denver takes care of La La Land.
Okay.
I'm not going to answer that.
My God.
I guess if they do the worst thing ever for me as a parent and draft my son for no reason, then I guess I'll stick around.
That's, by the way, that's one of the stories to come out of last night.
What a dad!
What
a dad! What way to think about the kid? That's the best thing.
What
really to make him a national joke?
LeBron, what if the Lakers don't draft your son?
I'm not going to answer that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You sure? All right.
I mean, I've been thinking about that. Like, Bronny James, it's not ridiculous that he would ever play in the NBA. Like, it's not like, like you or I coming out of high school. Like, I mean, was a McDonald's All-American. I don't know how well-deserved that was, but he was a McDonald's All-American. He's a good basketball player. He's not particularly big kid. He's a strong kid. But, like, if you're a dad, think about yourself. And your kid was a good basketball player. He's not nearly as good as you are. Mm-hmm. And you wanted to ultimately, it's a short life. You want him to make his own way. And it would be extraordinarily selfish of a father to go, you know what? I want to play with my kid. Like, it would be good for me. So I'm going to basically chuck his life away and have strong arm a team into taking him that normally wouldn't have taken him. Everyone's going to know it. He's never going to be good because he's not ready. And it's just that's what he's going to be known for his entire life. Like, you could avoid this. Now, there's no guarantee if you don't do that he's going to play in the NBA. But who's to say he's not? Like, why wouldn't you let him just do it on his own? Like, instead of strong-arming a team into taking him. I don't think that's good parenting. I'm going to so far as say that. I don't think I would do that.
The scary part about it is it would be different if Bronny James started. He didn't last year.
No.
Some of it was a medical issue, but the fact remains that he averaged about 5 points a game for a program that finished under 500 this year and in last place.
And look, some of it might have been a medical issue, but that medical issue existed. That's more of a reason not to go into the NBA right now.
Agreed.
Is that he had the heart condition.
He needs at least one more year in college.
And people are twisting themselves in the knots so-and-so was drafted with similar statistics and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, but I bet you, what's LeBron, whatever the hell is his name really Bronny? Whatever yes. Bronny, what is he, 6'2"?
I'm not going to answer that.
He's not, I guarantee you the guys with similar stat lines were 7-footers or guys that were 6'10". I don't think they were 6'2" guards.
6'3", but
whatever. Same difference.
Yeah.
He's not, believe me, my son's taller than me now. My son's 6'3". He doesn't belong in the NBA.
Good grief.
Yeah, he's taller than me now. Yesterday was the first day that he was taller than me.
Ooh.
Yep.
Did you stand back to back in bare feet every morning and measure yourselves?
No, but he was. We do it occasionally, more often than I guess is cool, Fonzie. But yesterday he was looking at me and I went, Jesus Christ, I think you're taller than me. And we went back to back, and my daughter did the thing with her hand, and he was taller than me.
Mm.
And it was the first time in my recollection that he had ever been taller than me. And I'm a man of 6'2".
Yeah, you're no slouch.
No, I'm a tall drink of water.
Bit,
I do slouch because I always want to bring myself. I'm so humble. I want to bring myself down to the level of those I'm speaking to.
Yeah, even though you just referred to your son as Jesus Christ, which makes you think of yourself as God. But whatever. I mean, I'm not.
No. I'm more like the whores.
You said I looked at my son and said Jesus Christ. So you
the whore who had Jesus. I'm like the guy who didn't impregnate her.
Mm. Got it.
I'm like the guy who was just there when he was born. Mary.
Right.
She was a prostitute.
I understand. What else?
There has to be some
Go ahead.
There has to be more to that story, right? You can't just take it on face value. I think that there's some symbolism.
Yes. Allegory.
Whatever.
Oklahoma City
oxymoron.
Completed the sweep of the New Orleans Pelicans.
Good for the Pelicans showing up in that series.
97,
and congratulations for the fat kid not playing.
You see the get-in price to go to that Pelicans game?
What was it?
It's $7.
Yeah.
God.
That I would have gone to, though. I would have gone to that before the Celtics Heat game.
Where's the...
you at least see, the Holmgren's a freak, and you can see Gilgeous-Alexander.
Where's the arena in New Orleans?
The Smoothie King Center?
Yeah.
It's right next to the Superdome.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, New Orleans really deserves a team. I'll tell you, they didn't play Cody Zeller, so get out of here.
Okay.
Get out of here if you're not going to play him. Where's the fat kid? Where did he go?
Zion Williamson?
Yeah.
Hey, go figure. He's hurt again.
When did he get hurt again?
Do you really care? He's hurt again, and on it goes. I think it's a hamstring or a groin this time, but it doesn't matter. He's always hurt.
He's just going to sit there and he's going to be one of those guys that when he retires, you go, how much money did he make? And then you're like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe he made that much money.
Right.
And it's going to be something like he made $100,000 a minute or something like that, like per minute played. It's going to be some ridiculous math involved because he's going to stick around for a while.
Zion Williamson, now, he actually played 70 games this year.
Yeah, but he didn't play in the playoffs.
No.
I don't care how many games he played this year. He didn't play in the playoffs.
He's been in the league 5 years. He's played a total of 184 games. In 5 seasons, 184 games.
Now, I think that there's 82 games a year, not counting the playoffs.
Correct.
So that's not many games at all.
Yeah.
We walked around the neighborhood in New Orleans a little over a year ago and went on a walking tour in the Garden District, and you can see the house where the Mannings grew up. It's like it's right there, and now it's been sold and beautifully renovated. But our tour guide walked us across the street, and he said, and here's the house that Zion bought for his mother. And this is a tour guide who's making maybe $50 a day doing these walking tours. And he's pointing out all the structural defects to this home and pretty much ended with, he's like, I wouldn't buy this house. This house sat unbought and unoccupied for years, but Zion loved it and his mother wanted it, so they bought it, and then it's beautiful, wonderful place, but it's going to take forever to get it livable again.
Well,
and
you want to talk about symbolism? Isn't that symbolism?
Yeah.
Is that Zion's got a beautiful, beautiful
Brilliant.
body?
Yes.
But it's got some foundational problems.
By the way, he makes $13 million this year, so last year of his rookie contract. His 5-year extension that they already signed him to kicks in next season. $34 million, $36 million, $39 million, $42 million, $45 million.
Yeah, so he'll have made like $1 million a game, basically.
Yeah.
Like when it's all
He's
said and
already
done.
made $44 million in his career.
And he's played how many games?
180.
180.
Yep.
So he's made $500,000 a game, if
Pretty
my
much,
math tracks.
yeah.
No.
It's less.
$200,000 a game.
How much is he making?
184 divided by 44 is what you're looking for.
4, 8, 12, 16.
250,000, 280,000, like that.
Whatever, man.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of money. Very quickly, NHL, the series out west between Dallas and the Vegas Golden Knights now tied at 2-2 after Dallas got the 4-2 win last night. And here in the East,
it's going to be a 6-1 win for the Panthers here in Game 5. That's the game. That's the series. The Panthers win this edition of the Sunshine State Showdown and punch a ticket to the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
And you know what that probably was, is in all seriousness, that's probably Steve Stamkos' last game as a member of the Lightning, because I don't think that they can afford him with the hard cap. And it wouldn't be wise, because if you look at what happened to the Penguins, I bet you they would have wished they would have gotten out of some of those contracts.
They would have signed him already.
They asked Stamkos last night if it was his last game.
I'm not going to answer that.
So he said,
He actually did answer that because he is a NHL player, and they answered the questions.
Bruins play tonight.
They do play
Up
tonight.
3-1 in the series with Toronto.
And they
And
win.
they were up 3-1 last year, and they lost that series. So don't get so excited. Don't get so excited. You want them playing in the second round come Mother's Day. You don't want them screwing around in this series anymore. Remember Mother's Day last year was that Game 7? I believe it was a Sunday matinee.
Nope. Carter Verhey.
I was too busy spending time with my mother and the mother of my children, and I don't pay attention to anything else all day on Mother's Day. I just sit at the feet of the mothers among us.
You said where? You said where?
I sit at the feet of all the mothers among us.
Oh, hey. Mommy, can I sit at your feet? I'm scared. Can I hold your leg? Oh, you're wearing a silk stocking. This will be a fetish of mine for many, many years. All right, we'll be right back.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube and subscribe, and that gets you on the algorithm. Mike Lockhart, if you're watching on YouTube, is here over my shoulder. We were, after the show yesterday, we were talking about how Toronto was flipping out about what was going on in this Bruins series. I told you that I happened upon Toronto radio, and they're talking about Austin Matthews, like how sick he really is. They're talking about Nylander and what his injury was, and I guess because it might be migraines, which I understand can be debilitating, but that's not gonna fly with people. And Marner's got to get traded, and this is all a disaster. And Lockhart was able to find something off these things that is rather upsetting.
Well, it is upsetting because the host himself is upset. He's upset at the way Toronto is playing. He's upset about the philosophy behind the building of the team. And he's got himself worked up into a lather. And apparently this is not the first time this has happened, Fred, because when he goes on these rants, they have to set him up. They have to get the audience ready for the rant.
All right. So Lockhart's coming in to put the second one in right now. But I do always think it's good to have a pre-produced bit where you're going to be upset.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of what happens.
Right.
That every day.
Get ready to rant.
Which is actually, remember when Dennis Leary was doing those, I'm killing time, ladies and gentlemen, so why are you making this about yourself? I'm just killing time. We got to get this in, but I appreciate Mike finding it.
Yes.
This is the deal, is that remember when Dennis Leary was doing those commercials for MTV? Like where he was like walking down the street, it was in black and white, and he just ran it.
He just had some random guy playing a guitar behind him, and
so I was a part-timer at 99X, and they were like, "We want to do this thing, like rant like Dennis Leary, like just do it,
right?
Like like you can do it, like you're funny, like go into a room and just rant like Dennis Leary." And I'm like, I can't do it. Like, what are you talking about? All right, here's the intro to the podcast.
Time now for Matt's opening thought.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
And here we go. I mean, it's really nothing more than a self-absorbed monologue for Matt to rant about something and pretend he's a serious radio personality instead of a gas bag.
Oof.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, no. That is about as Canadian can be.
Wow.
That is a real half-ass thing.
It's just a regular gas bag. I tell you what, here's your good old call about hot air balloon. He's full of hot air. It's Matt.
Everyone sit straight up and be prepared. You might want to brace yourself.
So, Matt, every day at 3 o'clock, you're going to yell.
Is this Matthew Cause, I believe is the... Okay. Yeah.
Go. I mean, it's really nothing more than a self-absorbed monologue for Matt to rant about something and pretend he's a serious radio personality instead of a gas bag.
Gas bag. Instead of his gas bag. Big old bag of gas. Walking around floating all full of methane and just steam.
Let's face it, he stole this idea from Dennis Miller.
No, I don't want to get off on a rant here.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
All right, so he's very mad.
Timely movie drop.
I was just going to say, that's
that
about
broadcast?
70 years old.
I think that's network.
That's network, not broadcast.
Oh, no. It's...
Good God.
Yeah. So who? This is a guy named what? Are you saying here? What is this guy's name?
I think his name is Matt Cause, C-A-U-Z.
Okay.
Oh.
And the cause is him giving you what for. Here it is. Here is him. He's just some gas bag, and here he is talking about the Maple
Well, it's just his opening thoughts, Fred.
It's not about the losing.
It's that this team was built one way, to score goals, to unleash the blue wave of line after line of talent.
Well, at least they got the most masculine man. I mean, is this not the voice of Darth Vader? It's not that this team was built to be anything. It's just I'm pissed.
I'm questioning the use of the soundtrack in the background from the 300, the Spartan.
I'm Gladiator.
Soundtrack.
I'm a gladiator. You know what stinks? A bunch of pussies running around. These guys are pussies. I mean, show some balls, you bunch of pussies.
Instead of a gas bag.
I'm a gas bag. Well, you're full of beans. Take that. I'm Canadian and angry.
Instead of a gas bag.
Not too angry, and they're going to take the little piece of flesh with them before I get on here just to know it's all tongue-in-cheek.
It's not about the losing. It's that this team was built one way, to score goals, to unleash the blue wave of line after line of talent, of wizardry on the power play with crazy passes and high danger chances that would rain a sea of pucks onto the poor goalie.
He's reading.
He's absolutely reading
That's
this.
a
He wrote
shame.
this.
That's a shame.
He wrote this.
That's not good.
Isn't that crazy how you can always tell? I can tell when somebody is reading something on the air. You can.
No, you cannot. I am not reading this right now. I have not written out my entire show. What is up? If you don't know, Jim Rome would transcribe his entire show. I guess not his interactions with callers, but like his monologues. Because he was like, yeah, it takes me about 5 hours to prep for a 3-hour show. And you'd be like, huh? And he'd be like, yeah, write everything out beforehand. What is up? Here is a joke that I wrote. Travis gets a fax, takes a sip of water. I read the fax. He spits the water out. Jim, I have lost a testicle laughing today. I am having to have to go to the doctor and have them bring it back down. What up, Jim? I have messed up another pair of underwear. Repping new office chairs. All right, very good. All right, here we go.
That is the pain Toronto was built to inflict.
Oh, that is the pain they were built to inflict, you bunch of sissies. This is the most Toronto Maple Leaf thing ever.
This game is about pain. I understand pain.
To get pleasure, you got to get pain. It hurts for a second, and then it's fine.
The only pain Boston felt was from the Gardner.
Oh, no, that's not.
That's later.
Oh, no, don't spoil it. Oh, come on.
You're all ahead of yourself.
Oh,
Here's a rant on you.
Instead of a gas bag.
Mr. Two Left Feet.
Don't get mad at me.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
There was supposed to be a blue wave of effing scoring. Instead, it's just a bunch of hogwash malarkey. I'm Canadian, and I'm sort of pissed.
You get that idea. He's sort of angry.
I'm Canadian, and I'm not going to go so far with this as to offend.
I don't want to offend too many people.
I don't want you to think I'm actually mad.
I don't want to stand out on that edge.
No.
I just want to be able to look at it from a distance.
No, no one here has a voice any deeper than this. I am the most masculine. Barry White was the falsetto in Canadian Barry White. Can't get enough of your love, babe.
That is the pain Toronto was built to inflict. That is the pain Toronto was built to inflict.
Sounds the same.
Did you see any of that on Saturday night? The only pain...
Did you, Juan?
It sounds the same backwards and forwards.
Did you when you didn't show up? Did you when you didn't come in costume? I was Raggedy Ann, and there was no Andy. Did you on Saturday night? We were there to dance, Juan.
Shelled out 40 loonies for that charcuterie board, and there was no one there to eat it.
It's a wine and cheese party, Juan. I have wine. Where's the friage?
The only pain Boston felt was from the Gardner Expressway when they made their way back to Pearson. Enjoy the lane closure.
2 references to Canada. Government, you have been, the quota has been matched.
Cheers, Coach Montgomery.
Our Lady Peace, Rush.
I was going to say, is this royalty-free Canadian background music?
Yes.
Because you know the rules in Canada. Got to play those Canadian artists.
You absolutely have to. The Tragically Hip owe that to the Canadian government.
Shohei Ohtani could have said, I'm staying in Toronto, and it wouldn't have helped the collective mood of this fan base. Now, getting back to the main theme, it's how they lost on Saturday. That is appalling because it's how they lose every time without fail. This is Groundhog Day without Bill Murray stepping into a mound of water or him taking a chainsaw.
A mound of water?
What? Yeah, and remember, you wrote this. He wrote down mound.
That is another Canadian
He had time
thing.
to look this over and still said it.
No, but I
That's a
bet
good
you that's
point.
what they say in Canada. A puddle is a mound. I guarantee you. I guarantee you that's what they say in Canada.
A couch is a Chesterfield, and a puddle is a mound.
And you know what a cigarette is.
And doing ice sculptures for Andy McDowell.
Give Hardy a minute.
By the way, you could see this one coming, couldn't you? Couldn't you early on?
I could see this coming from a mile away. You're a heartbreaker, a savage.
When you told me you were feeling a little under the weather last night, I knew.
And you're faking. You know what you are? It wouldn't be so bad if I didn't love you. And that's really where I dropped the ball. Letting my emotions go away. Well, it's never going to happen again. You're a cad. C-A-D. And I hope you step in a mound of puke on the way home and ruin those $700 shoes. I just stepped in a mound of hate.
Hey, the Leafs got a power play. Boo, boo.
Oh, he doesn't mean that.
No.
One shot.
What did you say? When I dressed up as Captain Kirk for Halloween, all I wanted you to do was say,
Play. Boo, boo.
when I shot the guns, but you wouldn't. I'm a stormtrooper, Juan. I'm a stormtrooper. And you know what this thing says when I pull the trigger?
Boo, boo.
I went through all that trouble of finding a Princess Leia wig with the little buns on the side, and I took the blaster from Luke, and I said, boo, boo, and you did nothing.
Juan, I'm there.
Boo, boo. One shot on net, one missed chance by Bertuzzi, whole lot of nothing. Hey, second power play. Look out, Boston. Here comes the baby.
All right, I can't take it. All right, very good. I'll tell you. Thank you, Mike, for finding that. That is about as Canadian can be. And that is a larger media market than here. I'll have you know. Oh boy. Ugh. Yeah, it's never good. I've been approached many times in my career to do a scheduled rant. I can't. I don't. It's not going to work out.
High danger chances.
High danger chances. Very good. All right. John Karalis is going to join us to talk about your Boston Celtics, who are one win away from slaying the dragon. Boo, boo, boo.
Boo, boo.
Let's build a fort, Juan, in the living room. Let's get our flashlights and tell scary sci-fi stories. Boo, boo, boo.
Boo, boo.
Juan, get the couch cushions. We're having a picnic.
Oh, I'm sorry what I said, Juan. You know me.
Instead of a gas bag.
I'm
Whoops.
ranting.
I'm a regular gas. Whoopsies.
Boo, boo.
Juan, I broke wind.
Instead of a gas bag.
Whoops. You know me. I'm just a gas bag. Oof. That one was hot.
Boo, boo.
Oh, boy. All right. Very good. John Karalis will join us in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Tuncher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. John Karalis is the Celtics beat writer for the BostonSportsJournal.com, and he joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. He is in Miami. John Karalis made his way through the crowd leaving, wherever the hell the name of the arena they played is. John Karalis, hello, sir.
How you doing? I'm the crowd was...
It was a lot of very thin people in the shape of white shirts draped over the back of chairs.
Yeah, the first quarter, a lot of seats were being kept warm by the shirts, for sure.
It's funny to me, like, isn't it odd to you that of all games, like a basketball game you'd go late to, like, I just wouldn't go, right? Like, if they're only... Like, especially a game like that, like, how long's that game? 2.5 hours? Like, 2 hours, 15 minutes?
Yeah.
2.5, yeah.
Like, you show up 45 minutes late. Like, what's the point of even going downtown Miami?
You're just showing up at halftime anyway. Like, you show up, you sit in your seats, you watch 5 minutes of basketball, then it's halftime.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
I mean,
and then you got to go home, and it's not like the arena's anywhere you want to be. Like, it's just, it
tough
seems
to
odd
get
to me.
It's really tough to get to. Traffic around that building sucks. So, A, you show up
Hey,
late.
let me
B,
go. I'm sorry to interrupt, but the TD Garden isn't exactly the easiest place to get to either. I know we've got the T, and they don't have anything.
Oh, it's
like
terrible
that,
to get
but,
to. Oh, no, it's terrible to get to.
It took me 2 hours to get to the arena for game 2. I was not happy about that, but that place was full at 7. And look,
That's all.
we say
the more
traffic
reason-
or anything, but
that's the point.
Yeah, I
mean,
think the point John's making is that if you're going to sit in the traffic, you might as well get there, early. You might as well,
Exactly.
Like if you're going to sit there in the traffic. But whatever. There's not a lot of people there. Let's get to the real issue because the series is over. Is Porzingis? I don't like. It looked like Harrow stepped on his foot and he tweaked his leg. It looked like he'd probably ruptured his Achilles. He looked upset coming off the floor. It sounds like it's not that bad. What are you hearing?
I heard that. I mean, first of all, it's just going to be like the imaging today that they're gonna figure it out. But same that you're hearing is that avoided a major thing. The thing about an Achilles injury, you can tell right away if it's a major injury or not. Like you might not be able to tell the severity of a lesser injury. But if it's the difference between a calf strain and an Achilles thing, it can be minor, and they're still trying to like kind of figure out what exactly happened. But if it was the ruptured Achilles, I mean, you'd have like I won't even get to the specifics, but you'd have very obvious things that they'd be like, yep.
Well, we heard about it with Aaron Rodgers. Like as soon as Aaron Rodgers went down, you can feel it. Like it's like the thing.
You can feel it. You can even see it.
Right. Like you could, if you look at the replay of the Rodgers injury, you can see his Achilles give out.
Yeah, you can see it kind of roll up like a window blind under his
That's
sock.
right. That's right. That's the effect. Exactly. So the good news is that it's not that. Right. So now we're talking about a matter of weeks, not months or, season. So if it really is just the calf strain and it's, grade 2 or something like that, we're looking at potentially 3 to 6 weeks. And the Celtics have been careful with Porzingis. And, if it's the most extreme of a calf thing, then he could be out as long as, the beginning of the NBA finals.
Talk about how that changes them offensively and defensively. Obviously, Miami's not going to be much of a challenge in this round, but Cleveland's a much bigger team. Orlando has bigger guys. How does that change what the Celtics do?
Yeah, it does make it a little bit tougher for them to pull a rim protector away. It puts a little bit more emphasis on what Al Horford can do. The good thing is that Horford has remained pretty healthy all season long. And so he's able to do some of those things on offense. And unlike, maybe last season, the year before, you put so much where they put so much on Horford over the course of the season that maybe come playoff time, he didn't have as much left in the tank. I think they're able to because Porzingis was around and because, Luke Cornett had a pretty good season and other guys could step in. I think Horford has a lot more to give at this point. But it certainly does put an added emphasis on getting this series done on Wednesday night and not doing a typical Celtics thing, which would be to extend the series looking so good on the road, go home and lose at home and having to come back to Miami. You need to end this thing so Horford can get his rest and you can get all the guys on the same page. But it does take away that floor stretcher and another rim protector where you could have somebody on the floor for 48 minutes that you trust. Now you might have to rely a little bit more on Xavier Tillman. You might have to rely, a little bit more on Luke Cornett. And while they've done the job in the regular season, it does make it a little bit more difficult when the postseason rolls around.
John, I'm glad you brought that up because I said it earlier. Don't look past your ability to close this thing out and be done with it tomorrow night because you would have to flip the script in terms of how things have gone for the Celtics at the Garden this postseason, last postseason, against this team specifically. But let's say they do that. You mentioned a couple of players who could step up if Porzingis is going to miss significant time. It's stretching the floor, absolutely. Is there one guy you would focus in on, though, that you could say, all right, on any given night, he would be the most consistent? Because even though, Porzingis, of course, had nights where he was better than others, consistently you could count on him to make some big shots and to take those threes that were borderline indefensible. Among the names that you mentioned, who would be the best fit to kind of fill that role from a consistency basis?
Yeah, that's a tough question. And I think the answer is you kind of throw the test balloons out there and whoever has it on that night, that's the guy you go with, which is a little unfair to the guy who you throw in. But if Tillman steps in, if you go with him and you go a little bit stronger, a little smaller, but, stronger, if he can get the job done early and it's working, then you roll with him for as long as it's working. And if they adjust, then you go a different direction. But it's just going to kind of be who has it going that night. And maybe it's neither of those guys. Maybe you just go with Al Horford and, you go small and you run with Jason Tatum as your center for stretches. And you say, hey, Jason, you're going to have to play a little bit of a different role. And lean on the fact that you've got Drew Holiday and Derek White as your ball handlers and initiators on the wing, and you run those two with Jalen on the perimeter, and you've got Jason and maybe Sam Hauser gets extra time. And what the thing, if you're playing Cleveland, you're not playing big bruising guys. Evan Mobley, Jared Allen are thinner, and Jason's like their size, so he can defend those guys. They're not big offensive threats. Allen's not a big offensive threat. So you're just going to stay in front of him and keep him from catching alley-oops and stuff. So that's also an option that Tatum can pick up some of the slack in some small ball lineups at the 5.
What's your take on what happened in the second half last night with Adebayo, Derek White, and Jason Tatum?
Well, I mean, Adebayo, I think it's a silly kind of gamesmanship that, look, it's the same mindset that Joe Mazzulla had when he was contesting a shot, right? Like you can't let the guy get a shot up after the whistle because you don't want him to feel good about himself seeing the ball go through. It's funny in some ways, but it's a little bit of a silly kind of bravado that can result in something like that. It's a little bit of an aberration. You don't see it very often, but I'm in Al Horford's camp when he said, sometimes you just got to let the guy be and not put a player at risk. We're all trying to do a job here. So stepping underneath somebody's foot and, getting into a landing space on a shot after the whistle is dumb. And the Celtics got lucky that it wasn't a more serious injury.
Do you think that the Celtics should have done more when the Heat went after Tatum in game 1? Do you think that
it's also 2024, and as much as we might say we wanted to see that, the league, the rules, you cannot put yourself at risk for something stupid like a flagrant foul, flagrant 2, plus an ejection, a suspension. The league isn't set up for that anymore. So yeah, I understand wanting to send a message, and I don't know that message would have changed anything. They could have done it. They could have gone old school. They could have gone Robert Parrish on Bill Laimbeer, 3 karate chops and lived with the results. And that still wouldn't have changed what what happened last night. So it's just the league is different.
Did you? This is off topic, but did you guys? Which is rare for me. Did you guys see that Pierce and Garnett talking about the 76ers Knicks series? And they're like, the league just wants the 76ers Celtics. They're like,
I missed that. And I don't normally. I think because I've been traveling, I don't normally get my car ride to get the KG. Paul
it was
Pierce
just. I'm not listening to the podcast. Believe me, it just came up on my Instagram.
It is
feed.
absolute off the hinges. It's incredible.
No, I know. It's. I think that you know what? I think Pierce might be high on occasion. I'm going to go so far as to say I'm taking the.
Are you suggesting that Pierce imbibes in the? Oh my God!
I'm suggesting that.
Oh Lord!
But it is funny.
Vapors.
But I had to listen to it twice to figure out what they were saying. But they did say. But they were saying that the series is rigged because they were talking about Instagram models and they got into it and how they're not as good looking in person.
Okay.
That when you meet them, you go like, "Who are you?" And they're like, "I'm that Instagram model." And they're like, "No, you're not." And then it went into how the refs wanted that
Wow.
to happen. Because the refs really aren't.
That's a thought process that marijuana would involve.
Yes, indeed. Because what got me thinking that was, you talk about flagrants, and I don't doubt that something would have been called in this series, but it seems like in that Knicks 76ers series, they're letting an awful lot go. So
that Embiid foul where he grabbed Mitchell Robinson was ridiculous.
Mitchell Robinson.
I think that should have been.
Yeah, when Embiid is down, Mitchell Robinson had jumped up and was in the air.
Oh yeah. That's been replayed a million times.
That was bad.
Well, in the last game, Embiid did a forearm shiver to Brunson's face when he was coming through the lane. Like they're letting a lot of stuff go. It's kind of cool. They did give the Knicks a game, so you have that. All right, John Karalis, safe travels. Thank you so much for joining us from Miami, and beat the traffic, as it is very bad, John says, around the arena. All right, John, you can read you can read him in the BostonSportsJournal.com. Thank you. We appreciate it. There you go. So Porzingis probably gone for a while, it sounds like.
Yeah. This is best case scenario now.
Yeah.
He's going to miss weeks, if not longer. Best case scenario.
Yeah. He's it's almost like you knew this was going to happen. It's why he isn't like a perennial all-star, probably, right? Like
yes, this is the risk. He's just not durable.
Because he's great when he's on the floor and he's engaged, but he's just not durable. And you just kind of knew this was going to happen.
And look at the way he is. He's got one leg wrapped. He just hurt the other one. And think about all the things the Celtics did during the season to limit his playing time, not playing him on back-to-backs. And if he had strained something, they kept him out an extra couple of games to make sure he was healthy. And you get to the playoffs and this happens. It's just, this is the way Porzingis has been since he got in the league, since his rookie season, unfortunately. But when the Celtics made that trade to get him, it wasn't a second guess. At the time, we were saying, okay, it's a pretty big risk. Let's hope it doesn't happen during the playoffs, and it happened during the playoffs.
Yeah. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
Celtics lead Miami 3-1 in their first-round playoff series after a 102-88 win at the Kaseya Center last night. Derek White, a career-high 38 points. But the bad news is Kristaps Porzingis pulled up in the second quarter, left the floor, and did not return with what's been termed right calf tightness. ESPN reports he'll have imaging today. Early indications are, fortunately, he did not suffer an Achilles injury. Patriots have re-signed defensive lineman Christian Barmore to a 4-year, $92 million contract extension. The Bruins had last night off. They host Toronto tonight, up 3-1. Judd Surratt and Bob Beers have the pregame at 6:30 and the face-off at 7 on the New England Honda Dealers 98.5 The Sports Hub Bruins Radio Network. And the Red Sox had last night off. They host the San Francisco Giants at Fenway Park tonight. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Dr. Matthew Lopresti and Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, the hair doctor of Hardy and Tommy Curran at 1-800-GET-HAIR. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8 o'clock.
Boston's best sports talk. There's an app for that. Download the Sports Hub app for loads of stuff. Absolutely free. Connect with the shows, get podcasts, and more. Get it where you get your apps. Or at 985sportshub.com.
Roto-Rooter. Plumbing problem? Leaks are no match for D.
going to have Andrew Callahan on coming up at 8 o'clock. He has graded every New England pick. He had sat down and he watched every college football game for the last 6 years from every single team. He took copious notes. He spent the last 6 years doing this. And he had a database of every player in collegiate football. The Jets took a kid I couldn't find on the Beast. The Mr. Irrelevant pick I couldn't find on the Beast.
You're talking about that CFL defensive back?
He was on
kid?
it.
Oh, he was?
The Mr. Irrelevant, a safety from Alabama I couldn't find on it. He might be on it, but I couldn't find him.
Interesting.
On the Beast, as I was doing my own research for my own wants and needs. But he will be on to break down the draft with us. As I told you, my son is now taller than me. And Hardy made a pithy remark about you guys measure each other every day in the morning and taking away the folksy, family circus-like vibe of my tail. And no, we don't. But it occurred to me that he was taller than me yesterday, and then we went back to back, and my daughter did the hand thing on top of the heads, and sure enough, he was taller than me.
Why don't you do a little mark with a pencil on the door frame, the one that leads from the, maybe the kitchen into the dining room?
Because it would have been his age from 14 to now, which he's 15. If I did a mark on the door, it wouldn't be a very, long.
Hasn't been there very long.
No, I've only been there
that
about
particular place he lives.
Why?
Now.
Did you move?
Yeah, I got divorced and moved. Separated and moved, and now divorced.
I forgot about that.
I'm untethered now, my friend.
Lucky in love.
Am I? I'm untethered now, my friend.
Bachelor on the prowl, Freddie T.
You know it. I mean, look at any high-end steakhouse. I'll be standing around the bar.
I have one in particular you can go to.
Ooh, I'd fit right in. I got
right
the
there
wardrobe.
on Boylston Street.
I'm gonna put on my blue sport jacket.
Yep.
And I'm gonna walk into the steakhouse and I'm just gonna pony up.
Say, hey, I'm a doctor.
And just go, hey guys.
Golden.
Yep. I got the clothes for it. I would run out of clothes in 2 days if I had to go to a steakhouse to try to meet people. I'd run out. I'd have 2 things I could wear, and then I would run out. And then I would be back to square one. It would cost me, I'd have to make a slush fund for the amount of clothes I would have to buy to be that guy.
A drink before dinner, sir? Well, take your time with everything. Give me a setup right here at the bar, and I'm settling in for a while.
Yeah, but could you put the game on? Mm-hmm. I'm here to watch the game.
I'm going to start with the crab cakes, but take your time. There's no rush.
I suppose I could just wear golf gear and pretend that I just got off the course, and then they could ask where I play, and that could be an entree into a conversation.
There you go. Maybe put the hat on the chair next to you, and you could say, oh, let me move that for you.
Yeah. Or maybe put the hat on my face and go, let me move that for you. Take a seat. Maybe I could go, please remove that shoe and allow me to see if your scent is of my liking. Miss, that pump post haste to my face. If you would, miss.
Boo, boo.
Yes. I'm a fighter pilot from Captain Krypton.
Boo, boo.
And your foot is the alien I may slay. But, yes, he is taller than me now. This has not happened with you people?
Okay, so my son is now taller than his big sister, who is 4 years older than him. And I don't know. We haven't done the family circus moment of standing my son back to back.
Well,
with
you would
my
know
wife.
by standing, by you
Not
can
if
tell.
it's close. If you know, then why did you have to have your daughter do the hand thing?
I knew it was close.
Okay,
like, I
well,
knew
then
that
I don't know.
Well, then it's worth doing.
Okay, then I'll do it. I'll do it tonight, and I'll make a video, and then we'll open the show tomorrow, and I'll have a rant. I'll have a rant about how I'm upset now that my son is growing older and is taller than his mother.
Will there be production warning everyone one you're about to get angry?
I'm as mad as hell.
That's right.
And I'm not going to take this anymore.
Should we block
And
out
maybe-
720 for that?
Maybe your grandfather will be levitating in the background,
Oh, God.
enjoying the scene in his non-mortal body.
I always liked how, in some ways, the feet would be higher than the head because he'd be peering in from the heavens through the window.
And can't you think of, if for eternity, here's the thing with, so Family Circus is a single panel cartoon about a family of
I think
5
we all
children.
know. I think we're all very familiar with Family Circus.
On the contrary, there are a lot of people who are listening to us that have never seen it.
Oh, really, John?
Do you think Kendra Middleton knows what Family Circus is?
No.
All right, so Family Circus is single, and so it's about but the grandparents are dead. And so they're drawn as...
They died horrific deaths.
They're drawn as non-filled-in creatures, so they're ghosts, and they're just, hanging around the house looking at the family.
They were mangled because they were hit by a train.
No, because my point is worse than that. You're being facetious, but my point is actually worse. This is supposed to make you feel good. Seriously, and this is serious and not being negative. What if that's forever? That's for souls that are in purgatory. If forever you're trapped looking at the same dumb family for the rest of your life, what happens when they die? You just are continually watching this string of relatives, and then until and you don't know who they are, and just forever you're just peering around, looking down at them, screwing around. Can you imagine watching a 15-year-old kid? 15-year-old boy, you can go through the wall and just watch them? I don't want to see what's going on in there.
Something you can do to extricate yourself from that
Well,
circumstance.
but why, for eternity, I got to pop down to Earth? There's nothing better? I got to pop down to Earth and, watch what's going on in the house like a creep? I don't even want to know the browser history. But that's a frightening thing. That what happens when you die? Oh, well, forever, you just watch the family,
right?
Forever, for generations, until longer than the Earth will exist, just for in a vast amount of time you can't even conceptualize.
And poor Billy and Jeffy and PJ, because as they grow older, the grandparents are going to be watching them when they find a hustler in the woods.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
is that what about when PJ? And he's the youngest, so he's gonna have his issues. He's basically gonna grow up an orphan.
Well, how do you think Dolly is going to be growing up in that circus? Pun very much intended.
Well, I know that she never changes her dress. She has the same dress on every day.
Well, they probably can't afford another one. They have 4 frickin' kids.
4 or 5. I know you have the Wikipedia up.
Billy, Dolly, Jeffy, and PJ.
4.
No.
5, right?
Billy, Dolly, Jeffy, PJ.
4.
Oh. They are fictionalized composites of the Keen's 5 children. With the exception of PJ, no characters have aged appreciably during the run of the strip.
Well, that would be... Why did PJ age? PJ is like an old man and everyone else is an eternal youth? What about and then PJ's a ghost?
And he's got to hover.
What happens for eternity? Oh, it's the best. You just watch other people. You watch your family.
Do you remember
for the rest of your life?
Do you remember the dogs' names? One of them you'll name as soon as I say it. Barfy.
There's an emergency, and then the grandma's going, "Oh my," because you got to watch everyone die too. It's a ghost. Oh, no.
Oh, it's a breach.
Oh, no. There's nothing I can do about it because I'm a ghost. But I get to watch it all and not interact.
Those kids, you would tell them to go, get me a pair of scissors from the kitchen. Don't run. But they would take the longest route back to hand off.
Oh, you go to the
pair of
neighbor's
scissors.
yard. And you'd say, well, there's no reason for that. Why are you in the
They
neighbor's
go
yard?
in one door of the station wagon and out the other. Why'd you have to go through the station wagon to get there, kids?
That whole thing is depressing. That whole cartoon is really depressing.
Why was it depressing to you, Fred? A bit more.
Well, the idea of the afterlife, that's what it is honestly depressing and frightening. Like, and the idea that would be an idealized version for a mass consumption, that's what happens when you die, is frightening. Again, I can't think of anything worse than just being relieved of your body and then just floating around, not being able to communicate and having to watch your dumb family as it ages and dies and generations go by and you care less and less and less. That means people from the Stone Age are still flying around that, like, I share DNA with. And if you believe in evolution, we came from a single-celled organism. That means we're all sort of related, and that means everyone ever in all species. So, like, dogs aren't in the body either, and so it's just this clogged-up world, and there's only so much room, and everyone's just floating around, and forever you just watch other people doing the same boring crap you did. That's the most frightening part. And the other part is that their lives are pretty humdrum, if you ask me.
So you're afraid of being one of the dead people and floating around for eternity watching everyone else.
I think it's more just like that's the like a fantasy of the guy. Like Bill Keene's fantasy is that like you die and then you float around watching like the grandkids.
I would argue,
what happens when they die?
I would argue it's his hubris. He thinks that what they're doing as a family is so interesting that the grandparents can't go off and enjoy the afterlife. They're just all consumed with what the family is doing.
Well, how many times do you think that guy's been able to afford to go to Manila to just get sex workers? I mean,
that was a Sunday-only panel. That was never addressed in the weekdays.
I mean, that family circus has bought a lot of payoffs to the Panamanian government, Indonesian government. I mean, that's a lot of bags of cash to get old Keeney off the hook and on the plane. So I imagine there is a bit of hubris, but that's always bothered me. Even when I was a little kid, that bothered me.
They knew him at the airport. Philippines again, Mr. Keene.
This is a $200,000 toll, my friend. I used to cut out Brenda Stars and hide them because I thought Brenda Starr was hot, and then it used to bother me. It really did bother me when I was a little kid I'm like, this is what happens when you die. Like this is like literally a nightmare. Just trapped. Can't touch nothing or affect anything. And then you're like, what if you're watching the kid get hit by a car? I don't mean to be bad, but like you're a ghost and you're like, oh, PJ's walking into the road and here comes a car. It happens and you're just floating there and there's nothing you can do about it. My.
Let me ask Google. Google, did the ghosts
Ask Ed Jeeves
in Family Circus ever intervene?
You would hope that because there's nothing they can do, so you're really just defenseless, just watching around. You can't go on offense either. All right, Andrew Callahan is going to join us. He graded every pick of the New England Patriot draft. We'll have that for you in just a moment.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Cat's Eyes.
Celtics, Revs, and Patriots. Touchdown, Patriots. Boston's home for sports is 98.5. The Sports Hub, Easily Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines.
Well, there's good and bad news concerning the Celtics this morning. First, let's start with the good.
Derek White, bounce pass for Peyton Pritchard. Shut off at the free throw line. Kick out Derek White. 2 dribbles to the left hand. Shot clock already at 4. White has to take a tough fall away 3, and of course he hits that too. It's been his night. The whiteout continues. He's got 19, and the Celtics lead 44-31.
That's Sean Grandy here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Derek White made 8 threes on his way to a career-high 38 points, and the Celtics beat the Heat in Miami 102-88 to take a 3-1 lead in that best-of-7 first-round playoff series. The bad news is they also lost Kristaps Porzingis to what the team is calling right calf muscle tightness in the second quarter. He did not return. ESPN's reporting early indications are he did not suffer an Achilles injury. He'll undergo imaging today, Game 5 of this series, back at TD Garden tomorrow night. Patriots locked up another core piece yesterday, signing defensive lineman Christian Barmore to a 4-year, $92 million contract extension. $41.8 million of it is guaranteed. Also, the Patriots have released offensive lineman Connor McDermott. The Bruins face Toronto at TD Garden tonight, leading that first-round playoff series 3-1. Judd Surratt and Bob Beers have the Duncan pregame at 6:30 and the face-off at 7 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Brad Marchand and Denton Heinen were given maintenance days yesterday at practice, and the Red Sox had last night off. Cooper Criswell pitches tonight in the opener of a 3-game series against San Francisco at Fenway Park. Sox should also have a new first baseman. They activated Garrett Cooper to the active roster yesterday and designated Pablo Reyes for assignment. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the early week supper specials at the 99 restaurants. Enjoy the roast turkey dinner Sunday, hearty meatloaf Monday, and crispy spinach and artichoke chicken on Tuesday. You gotta love the nines. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
Tatum has been spectacular.
This is Jason Tatum.
Right corner against Embiid. Tatum for a 50-piece.
You're listening to the home of Boston Celtics basketball. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
We're back with Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. Andrew Callahan covers the Patriots. And he also writes columns for the Boston Herald. He joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Hello, Andrew.
Good morning, fellas.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Still writing columns. Patriots here, Celtics there. Draft is behind us. We got some new players to dive into.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you familiarize yourself with the people they've drafted outside of Drake May, who you obviously were very familiar with? What is the process for Andrew Callahan?
Yeah, so I would say I knew their first 4 or 5 picks fairly well. The rest is, going into the tape, which I think more appropriately today is more YouTube, unless you can get some of the all 22 on your hands, and then some athletic testing, and then kind of texting people that I knew. For my days covering college football to see if they knew any kind of overlapping sources or contacts, people in the recruiting business, and kind of get to know them that way.
Very good. So, Drake, we haven't talked to you since the first round even. So, Drake May's the first pick. We've talked about it now for months, but what are your thoughts after all was said and done?
I love the pick. A+. It was a simple pick, the only pick, the right pick. And it's not only just you needed a quarterback and he was the best available. Like, this is a guy who plays like and looks like the way the best quarterbacks look like and play like in today's NFL. Huge, strong arm, traits, and ability to extend plays that you need from a Mahomes, from a Josh Allen. I think his most common comp was Herbert. And I think that's totally fair. And his weaknesses, as far as footwork go, are super fixable. So no, he's not perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect prospect. But when you're at 3 and a kid like this falls to you at number 3 overall, you take him and develop him. And he's still 21. Like, there's too much to love about this kid not to take him.
Okay, so you mentioned the footwork in your column, and just you did it again there. Who fixes the footwork right now for the Patriots? Because we talked about this yesterday. Like, coaching-wise, you confident that they've got the right staff in place to fix him?
I mean, look, if they need me to do it, I'll do it. It'll come down to Alex Van Pelt. I mean, that's a guy who played in the league, coached the position, been an offensive coordinator at multiple stops. And his footwork, I can tell you, goes back to drills that worked in like the late 70s and all the way through coaching Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. So it's very simple West Coast stuff that they're going to run him through, and has remedied a lot of quarterbacks over the year. Rodgers included, a guy whose mechanics were a bit off coming out of Cal. Granted, of course, one of the probably 5-6 greatest quarterbacks of all time. So an outlier example, but one that nonetheless worked when they ran him through the drills and, concepts that Alex Van Pelt is going to put May through.
Would he start, do you think, this season? Should he start this season?
So this is really interesting to me because, first of all, we're not going to know for a few months. Second of all, if he pulls even with Jacoby Brissett or outperforms him in training camp, I don't know how you can sell the rest of the football team, new guys trying to go for this winning culture and believe in the new coaching staff, on not starting him, because he's going to do things in training camp, in the preseason, that Jacoby Brissett flatly just cannot do. So then the question is, how many mistakes can he avoid that Jacoby Brissett, being a 9-year veteran, will not make? And so I think it'll be dependent on training camp, but the concerns people have about protecting him obviously are truly valid. Like Drake May is about the future, not the present. My argument would be there are ways to protect a young quarterback outside of having an offensive line really well built. And I think they will lean on those if and when he starts. Whether or not that's week 1, we just won't know until the summer.
What did you now, in like with some days to digest it, it is interesting hearing people who've covered the draft for years talk about the pick of Michael Penix to Washington, or to Atlanta at 8. Like, before J.J. McCarthy, this is an Atlanta team that just signed Kirk Cousins to this big deal. And when they said, do you think Kirk Cousins should be upset? At first, I'm like, why the hell would he be upset? Who cares? Like, you're making all this money. But then I thought, yeah, but then if you don't win, it's your fault. And they didn't draft for need. They drafted like a guy who's not going to affect you winning. So then I completely flipped the script, John, which is I'm capable of doing, which is a little more evolved, I think, than most people. Also, I'm very humble.
I tell everybody that.
But what are you hearing about that pick? That's got to be the talk of the draft. Just I'm curious as an insider, what people are saying about that. Are they dumbfounded?
I can tell you I'm dumbfounded. Most of my conversations since are around the draft have really just been around, the Patriots picks, if I'm being totally honest.
Right.
But there is a sense, right, of, hey, you're the Falcons. You just dropped $160 million on this quarterback, which locks him in for the very, worst or shortest, the next 2 to 3 years. And you're attempting within those 2 to 3 years to win a Super Bowl. That's what you're doing when you sign a quarterback like that, not to mention the weapons they already had on the roster. So when you take the number 8 overall pick, your best asset left in a trade, or, certainly as far as free agency goes, that's worth, I don't know how many millions of dollars, but if you hit on that pick, that's the best value you have. Why not use it towards winning within that window? It's not the idea that you can't try to have this 2 timeline, but you just took away from your chances of winning with the quarterback you just signed to $100 million. So I think they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. And not to mention the dynamic it'll create with Penix and Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, someone who came from a situation where he had to beat out Robert Griffin III, chose places and contracts just for the security of it. Like, I don't think that's a guy, as much as he's, in the Business Hall of Fame for the NFL, that chose Atlanta, strictly because of the contract. Like, that's a dude who knew he would walk in, have no issues, be number 1 guy, and now he's not. And that's just
go ahead. And Andrew, if he's making that kind of money and they've brought him in to win and they don't win, he's going to be the one they all blame. So you can see him being upset. If you were Kirk Cousins, you would be upset, wouldn't you?
Yeah, of course. And then also, he struggles, right? First couple of weeks, maybe 3, maybe 4. The fans, of course, are always going to be screaming for the backup quarterback, because you always do that.
Yes.
And then how about his teammates? Like, everything we've heard about, and this I can tell you in asking people about Penix, what's he like as a dude? people around the program or, a couple scouts or executives I talked to, like they all raved about him. And I know the other quarterbacks in this class and reading some work this week, have done the same. Like that's a guy who's got some charisma to him. So I just wonder if he's keeping up in practice. It won't just be the fans asking for Kirk Cousins. It might be for Kirk Cousins to be benched. It might be the teammates too. And again, we're all projecting, right? Like nothing has happened that we just talked about. We're months away from that. But it's a dynamic that the Falcons just risked while simultaneously lowering their ceiling for the next couple of years, which seemingly is when they're trying to win.
The fans are going to demand Penix now. Like Penix, there's a lot of factors at play with Penix and a lot of factors in play in that town. And I think that went into, I don't know. It's just, there's going to be a lot of, I could see Kirk Cousins just being like, all right, just play the kid now because he's going to be, everyone's going to want him to play. It's going to be insane for him. All right, listen, can you hang on? Because then we can go through the rest of the draft with you, and I won't veer you off into Michael Penix Jr. category.
Yeah, that was not the point of this whole time with Andrew. Why did you do that?
Well, can we veer quickly, though? How'd you feel about the Lions?
I love what the Lions did. I thought it was smart. I like to see a team that did well last year be aggressive, move up, and shore up that secondary, which was one of their failings last year. So it made a lot of sense, at least what they did in the first round.
Yeah, Fred?
Yeah, I like what they did, but I'm more of a Jets fan, and I like that the Jets didn't take Brock Bowers. I was very excited that they didn't take Brock Bowers. I was just like...
Aaron Rodgers did not get his way.
Well, you don't know.
I want to hear what...
they got the Yak King in the third round.
Sure they did. Right.
A lot of people don't like the Yak King. He's a running back.
I'm looking forward to hearing Andrew throw water all over the Pats' second-round pick, but... We'll wait for that.
Yeah, he likes the fourth rounder better than the second round.
Well, don't give the whole thing away.
Well, you
John.
kind of alluded to it.
I did one.
He also, in fairness, the Patriots, we had guests on yesterday. The Patriots tried to trade up. They couldn't trade up. Then the bunch of receivers were taken. They traded down. We can ask Andrew Callahan. We're teasing this for a very long time, Andrew.
It's really a segment unto itself.
That's how good it was, Andrew.
We will get into all of that with Andrew, unless you'd like me to go on longer. And
John and I will bicker some more, too.
Yeah.
Well, you two hens. Enough of that. All right. We'll be
that
back.
has me hooked.
All right. We'll be back in just a moment.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on Their day.
I bet you're just jealous.
Dutcher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Dutcher and Hardy. Andrew Callahan reports on the Patriots and is a columnist, writes about other sports for the Boston Herald. He did his grades of the NFL draft. He joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Hello, Andrew.
Hello again.
Welcome back. All right, let's go to round two. It's known now that the Patriots tried to trade up back into the first round. The Bills denied them that opportunity. Then, whoopsie-daisy, here we go. There's a bunch of receivers that come off the board. The Patriots trade down to 37, and they end up taking a man who has a ridiculous spelling of the name Jalen. Jalen Polk. What are your feelings on that pick?
So I gave it initially a B-, and I did a very small correction in today's column, just calling it a solid B, because Polk is 6'1", just over 200 pounds. He's a natural receiver. Like, you don't need to watch more than one game to go, okay, Jalen Polk gets it as far as the body control, really strong hands, tracks the ball well downfield, threatens all three levels. It's just, when I was looking at that pick and the people that I talked to and, games that I had watched with my own eyes, I just wondered how much does Jalen Polk change my life if I'm the Patriots playing offense? Because that's what we had been looking for all offseason, right? Like, whether it was the trade rumors or the guys in the first round or maybe the free agents, if it was Calvin Ridley. And if not, it had to be the draft. And so there's a small run there on receivers, thanks to that great reporting from Mike Reese. We now know that they were trying to get ahead, seemingly for a different player. And, they wanted Polk at 34, but traded back to 37 and got him anyway.
Yeah. Do you believe that they wanted him at 34 and traded back to 37? Who do you think they wanted that went? Keon Coleman went. Ladd McConkey went.
Baguette.
And Baguette was the pick that was the Carolina traded up for. Who do you think they wanted out of those guys, and why did they want them, and how much better are they than who they got?
Yeah, so here's the interesting part. I'm not as high on Leggett, who went to the Panthers there at 32. The Panthers, who moved up all of one spot to make sure that they got him and kind of advertised their interest in the process in the local kid, because he comes from South Carolina, only had one real season, but really good after the catch, instant accelerator, super strong guy, just a little stiff for my liking. And so I think it would have been for him because the Patriots understood Carolina's interest. I mean, look, if a dope like me knew the Panthers wanted to take the kid, I'm sure Elliott Wolf knew as well. I wonder, though, about Keon Coleman, who then the Bills took a pick ahead of them at 33, Florida State kid who fits more of the ex-receiver mold, big, strong hands, a little slow, so I don't want to lead anyone into N'Keal Harry nightmares here. I'll leave it there. But they didn't want Ladd McConkey. That was clear when they traded out of 34 and the Chargers came up to pick him. So I think it was Leggett, but Coleman is an interesting backup who also went before they could nab him.
All right, so and it doesn't bother you that Polk was the second option at Washington?
No, I mean, Rome Odunze was a top 10 pick, so pretty much anyone would have been second fiddle to Rome Odunze, except for Malik Neighbors or Marvin Harrison Jr., and they played for the Huskies.
Well, let's get into another second fiddle, shall we?
Oh.
Yes.
Round 3.
Yeah.
The non-Ollie of the two tackles at Penn State.
Jets got that guy. Jets got the star tackle, is what you're saying.
Well, they did. This guy wasn't good enough to beat out the Ollie. Whatever the hell the guy's name is.
Ollie?
I don't know, dude.
That's what his friends call him.
Wallace, the right tackle from Penn State in the third round. Again, not good enough to play left tackle at Penn State, where that is being held down in the division. But can this kid? Where does this kid at? What do you think of the pick? How is he malleable? Can he play other positions? What's going on?
So Caden Wallace was a 4-year starter at right tackle at Penn State, a place I used to be in covered. So I reached out to a couple people I still know there. He had and you could see this on his tape, marked improvement from 2022 to 2023. He's an above average athlete. He is a guy that you could project to plug and play maybe week 1 as a right tackle, but that's not what he's here to do in New England. There's belief among the coaches, among Elliott Wolf, that he can just walk over to the left side, a place that he has not played in high school, and just play over there. And so that was part of my grievance with the pick, which I gave somewhere in the C neighborhood, because I don't know about you guys. I need few things in life. I need my cereal poured before the milk, and my left tackles to play left tackle. And like, that's it. And so, yes, the draft is all a projection, but this is such a big one for the Patriots, who really don't have any other bodies. They just cut one yesterday. Connor McDermott would have been a candidate to start on the left side. And so for a guy who turned the bulb on very late in the process, he's 24. It feels like signing someone in free agency who just had a career year. I don't know how he's going to feel now coming into the league. I don't know the kid, to be clear. This is not me rooting against him or predicting anything one way or another. There's just a lot of uncertainty where I felt like if they had moved up a couple of spots, even one pick, Brandon Coleman, a kid out of TCU, played left tackle and left guard, I would have felt much, much more comfortable. Instead, they take a right tackle well before a lot of folks believed he would go.
So your people at Penn State say that he's a 4-year starter, but he didn't really show until his senior year.
Well, he was much better last year than he was in 2022. And I think there was a sense from people close to him that he expected to go to the NFL, a year ago. But the tape wasn't good enough. He was told, this is not going to happen. You have to come back. And only it was at that point that things really came together. Now, whether that was just a miscalculation, whether there was more commitment part on his side, which I had heard he was more seriously invested, we'll see. And look, I hope the kid is more invested and continues to commit himself further and starts week one. Like, good for him. We should all root for that for all these kids who were drafted in New England or elsewhere. But again, as far as the picks that were available, if the Patriots then with extra picks in the 4th round and the 6th round could just move up to get, a Kingsley Suamataio goes to the Chiefs, a kid who played left tackle at BYU, and we all loved there in the 2nd round, or Brandon Coleman, who I mentioned, or Roger Rosengarten, who went to the Ravens and was a right tackle with Washington, but played on the left side, that it just would have felt much better than this kid, who, again, is going to have to make a big change.
And they're looking at him to start, so this isn't just like some 3rd-round pick. This is a guy that they expect to contribute this season.
Well, I don't know if they feel that way today, but I think their vision through this summer is that he will grow into probably at least a swing tackle. Because let's talk about the other options. And I wrote about this a month ago going, okay, we just got through free agency. Here are their options. It's Chuck Okorafor, who was the Steelers' right tackle for a couple of years. And the reason the Patriots believe he can flip to the left side is, he did it in college. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not like at the bottom of any beer funnels looking up nowadays because I did them in college. If I did that today, I would get halfway through and it would go very badly for me. Now, drinking beer through a funnel is very different from playing football, and Okorafor is much better suited for that than I am now. But I would just say that whether it's Okorafor or Wallace or someone like Tyrone Wheatley Jr., I don't know how many teams in the league would feel comfortable with that trio, pulling out one starter from itself. And that's really what the Patriots are kind of banking on here.
Why do you like it, just moving to the 4th round for a second? Because there are problems at the tackle spots, but this team still does not have a number 1 wide receiver, even after drafting Jalen Polk. But you like the 4th round receiver they got out of Central Florida better than the 2nd round receiver.
So I liked the pick, and that's more the point here. Like, I think Jalen Polk was a better college player. I'm not ruling out, though, that Javon Baker is more impactful in year one because I think there's just like a higher ceiling here. And when you look at his big playability, 21 yards per catch, the way he was a threat after the catch and on deep balls, like there's just a kind of part of his game that, again, like Polk, you get it. He's a natural receiver. Yeah. Javon Baker is a natural receiver who's kind of like a stallion. And I think if they can kind of tame him and rein him in, which we all listen to or watch the press conference afterward, and you get the stallion comment hits not only just on the field, but also with his public comments, I think they could have a real steal here. So I really liked the pick for the value they got it in the 4th round, where some people thought Polk was a reach. No, this was later for Baker than most expected. And that's what you need is it's a big body dude who can create big plays and might be, I don't know, number 2 or 3 as far as most talented receiver in your room right now.
Yeah, so many women, though, have tried to tame this stallion, and all of them failed.
Yeah.
So if you're going,
are we already on the commercials again about ED, or what happened there?
Oh yeah, I think another satisfied customer. Jose.
No, so honestly though, is there more upside than there is with Polk? I mean, you already admitted that Polk is probably the better college receiver, but and I know Baker, right? That's
Javon Baker.
Yeah, the 4th rounder, explosiveness, but He's got drops. He's sneaky, not good at catching footballs.
That's the problem, right?
Yeah. So what is it? Do you think his ceiling might be higher than Polk's?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. And I think there's a chance, what percentage chance then is the natural follow-up, right? And I don't think it's an overwhelming chance, but I think it's there. I mean, before he got to UCF, he was at Alabama and well down the depth chart behind Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith. And I don't think you'd blame anyone for being behind those two dudes who are about to be among the highest paid NFL receivers ever. So he's someone who's got the pedigree. Again, the big play explosiveness. He's very, very young. I mean, his first comments as a pro, we're talking about making people stand up out of wheelchairs. Like there's some maturity rocks that need to be, to be smoothed over here, to be navigated. So that's got to happen first because he's got some pros ahead of him, even if they're not as explosive or talented as him ahead on the depth chart. So I just like the pick. That's what day 3 is about. Upside, flyers, people who can make an instant impact if this goes right. And that's what you got in Javon Baker.
Interesting you bring that up because we have spent many, many segments talking about Joe Milton.
At least 17 segments. Hours and hours.
Joe Milton,
That's a hell
who
of a
you
pick.
like.
That's a hell of a pick.
You like Joe Milton. We're everyone here in the room is not as enthusiastic as you are.
I'm just happy for me, fellas, if I'm being totally honest. The training camp throws I'm going to get to witness Joe Milton make, some maybe over Gillette Stadium. I'm just so excited. And I think, honestly, anyone who's going down to training camp this summer, look, we all know they're not going to win many games when it counts in the season, but you can have a ton of fun watching a guy throw the ball about 100 yards. And that's what you have in Joe Milton. So I just talked about day 3 flyers. And let's be clear. I don't think Joe Milton is a good quarterback. I don't think his quarterback prospects are such that he will be on the roster at the end of training camp. I think he's a practice squad candidate. Again, hope I'm wrong, but that's how I see it for someone who processes a bit slowly and really, really needs to see a receiver open before he pulls the trigger. But the dude has, we can't even call it a cannon or a rocket or whatever it is, because that's just unfair to him. He has the most natural and extraordinary arm strength I've ever seen in a player. And I'm so excited that he's down there in Fifer instead of the same old 6'1" dudes with little pea shooters.
Did you get all bunged up watching Jake Dolegala a few years ago? Because
he
could
got
throw
the name.
He could
Jimmy Lyles gave him the name yesterday.
Right now, he can't shut up about it.
Well,
yes.
I mean, 6'7", he had a cannon too. I mean, he had to look way far on the left field away from the bleachers to see him, but that must have just had you in fits.
Well, it did because he was a Connecticut kid. He was Central Connecticut State, if I do remember. But Jake was here with us, I don't know, for like a week. Like, we're at least going to get a few months of Joe Milton. And we'll see him at rookie minicamp in a couple weekends here, which was a no-no for the media under Belichick. But Gerard's going to open that for one practice. So we don't even have to wait until the summer for Joe Milton.
I'm sure he's going to be excited that you said he's slow at processing information. Once he finally sinks in, maybe next season he'll get upset at you when he finally figures it out.
Send transcripts. I know the Patriots are listening as we chat. They do love to listen to their 98.5, and so that if it needs to come up for a little extra motivation, happy for Joe, but we'll see. I mean, they took him as a project, and this is a big bet, just like, Drake May is to an extent, even Javon Baker on the coaching staff they've assembled. Like, here's the talent, go develop it. The thing I would keep in mind, though, as far as that point goes, is the coaches are also here because Elliott Wolf helped in that hiring or picked them out in the process. So this whole offseason has been Elliott Wolf and Joe Milton at the end. It was a great cannon-sized cherry on top.
Who is the worst professional quarterback you've ever seen in a training camp?
Oh,
is there anyone who completely stands out as just like because it would almost have to be off the top of your head if you were just like, wow, this guy sucked? Because I know Tebow was awful when he was here. Like, I guess he was throwing like balls into the stands and stuff. Is there anyone that you were like, oof, like this guy blows?
I'm trying to think of, we've had joint practices, right, that the Patriots had in 19. They had last year, they had in 21. And, there were moments here or there, and I was like, ugh. But I think consistently I have to speak to the Patriots. And this is, this wasn't like, oh, my God, get him off the field. But there were some throws that Trace McSorley missed last summer that it was just tough. And I think they knew well before, I think it was the third preseason game or even cut down day, like, okay, this is how it's going to go. You're not making the team. We're just going to stash you over here. And that's when you started to see more Malik Cunningham.
Well, hang on to your hat because Joe Milton's about to put on a show, my friend, and you'll be able to answer that question without hesitation. Who is the worst training camp quarterback you've ever seen? you'll be able to go, that was a man by the name of Joe Milton. Throw a ball through a brick wall. But
I feel like the way you're telling this story, you see me in like a rocking chair. Like I'm talking to my grandkids who just asked the same question. That man was Joe Milton in December of 2024.
This is the last I'm ever going to talk to Joe Milton.
I'm excited. You got to come down for
6'5",
practice.
240.
Yep.
He can run, and he's got the best arms some have ever seen. Yet, he flamed out at Michigan, and he only started 1 year at Tennessee, and he was a 6th-round pick. That's all you got to know. Something's off. Something's bad.
Yeah, and that offense at Tennessee was a pretty simple offense.
Oh,
you know, like
they were wet in their pants when he came. They thought he was going to beat out Hooker, the whole nine. But all right, I've talked too much apparently, according to John, about it. So I'll shut up. I'll never mention him again until I talk to you after that rookie training camp. I'm going to go, who's the worst quarterback you ever seen? You're going to go, Joe Milton, and I'll go, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Andrew Callahan, thank you for the time, sir. Everyone read his grades. There's other picks, too, that we didn't get to, that all over there. He liked the draft, too. You like the draft as a whole, though. Everyone seems to have liked the draft. It's a good draft.
Yeah, give it a solid B. It's pretty much in line with the rest of their offseason. You know, good, pretty good, not great.
Let's be honest. Drake May, that's the beginning and ending of this conversation. That's the one that we need to hit. All right, thank you, Andrew Callahan. We appreciate it.
You got it. Be well, guys.
All right, thank you so much. There you have it, Andrew Callahan.
I was not criticizing, speaking about Joe Milton. I love the way you get worked up. I'd talk Joe Milton for as much as you want.
I don't know. It's just
I think it's fantastic.
Again, I'm being very
hatred of this man.
I'm being very. I don't hate him at all. My transparency of that, like he's the only guy in the draft I'm super familiar with, and he's awful.
I think it's funny as hell. And you're right. Guy who has been blessed with such physical gifts should be a million times better than he is.
We're not talking about Troy Franklin. Like I'm just looking at the 4th round.
Well, Franklin, you talked to Mike Lockhart about Troy Franklin.
Yeah,
he hates Troy Franklin.
Okay, but I'm talking about a guy who's been a viral sensation. Joe Milton has been a viral sensation. He's like a circus freak.
Yeah, he's the long drive competition guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what he is.
Exactly. Yes. So that's fun. Well, thank you to Andrew Callahan. There is your. That's all you need to know about that, ladies and gentlemen. We've now covered the Patriots draft and tied it up in a nice little bow. Here are your headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
Derek White scored a career-high 38 points to lead the Celtics to a 102-88 win in Miami last night. They lead that first-round playoff series 3-1. Game 5 is at TD Garden tomorrow night. Kristaps Porzingis, however, not expected to be there. He left in the second quarter last night with right calf muscle tightness and didn't return. ESPN reports he'll have imaging done today. The early indication is he did not injure his Achilles tendon. Patriots yesterday re-signed defensive line cornerstone Christian Barmore to a 4-year, $92 million contract extension. The Bruins play Toronto at TD Garden tonight, leading that playoff series 3-1. Judd Surratt and Bob Beers have the pregame at 6:30 and a face-off at 7 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. And the Red Sox had last night off. They'll face the San Francisco Giants at Fenway Park tonight in the opener of a 3-game series. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by your local New England Honda dealers. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9 o'clock.
Pastrnak got that shot away. Shoots his head.
Hi, this is David Pastrnak.
Pastrnak for the low laser.
And you're listening to 98.5 The Sports Hub.
This is how Boston sports fans start their day. Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hey, we'll get to the big Celtics thing coming up, including a couple of Grandy's calls last night on the radio. Quickly, I got an email from this guy, Christopher, and he said, I found your son's soulmate, and it says, it's a girl on Hinge, and it says most irrational fear, and it says birds, GD birds, and that is in reference to my son, who is still bitching about the birds outside of his window.
After all this time, even though you continually make fun of him for it?
He's right. He doesn't like it anymore. He's just like, it's over. Like, that's over. It's over.
Wait, he's over the bird jokes?
Yeah. But he still bitches about it. He's like, there's a tree. And then, but there's something about being 15 that I was taking them to their mom's house. It was like 8:30 at night. And there was all these cars on the road, like the residential road leading to where they live. And on both sides, and you like where you had to crawl through the cars. He's like, well, hey, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, why are these cars on the road? And he goes, well, dumbass, why didn't you take the other street? Like I should have known that all these cars. Like, hey, why didn't you have? I go, I don't know, why, Dad? Why didn't you have a telescope? I don't know, Dad. Why didn't you have a satellite picture? How the hell should I know all these cars are going to be on the road, Milo? You're going to be driving in 6 months. Like, why'd you pick this road, dumbass? And the best part is the dumbass part. Like you could call me a dumbass 100 times a day, but not about driving down a road with cars on it. Why didn't you know that was happening? Well, it's the funniest thing about driving is there's no way to know if there's cars parked on a road before you get there. You know, this has never happened before. He could have gone down Connors Street. Connor's his friend. Should have gone down Connors Street, dumbass. Oh, am I? I'm the dumbass. Yeah. And Dad, Zoe doesn't have birds because she's on a lower floor. So I gave you the whole attic. Like, you have 2 rooms, Milo. Like, he probably has 500 square feet up there. He's his own bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
For that age, that's pretty good.
Oh, it's like Greg Brady's room on the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
Like, he's got, like, Greg Brady's whole setup. And he made ghosts so no one will buy the place. But this was a conversation yesterday. I'm not making this up. And he's over the bird thing. He doesn't like it anymore. But he said to me, he's like, because we got out of the car, it was me, him, and Zoe, his sister, and I went, listen, and there's birds, and he goes, it's not funny, and I'm like, you're sick of it. He goes, no, it's not funny. Zoe doesn't have to deal with birds. Zoe's on a lower floor. I got, and that's why you don't hear him, Dad, because you're not up high enough. I'm 6 feet higher than you. That's where the birds reside. Dad, that's where the birds live.
You put me up on bird level.
Yeah, I'm on the bird level. You guys are living all right down there below the birds. I can hear them. And Dad, it's not funny. The birds.
I love him yelling at you for going down the wrong
Dad, you went down the wrong street. This one's got far too many cars parked on it, dummy. You dumbass. Hey, stupid idiot. I'm not the dumbass that paid $2 million for a condo with birds. Birds.
Driving down car streets.
Yeah. You know, jackass. Who it's like now, like the end of the day with me, with you. You know that I can't, there's no satellite photo. Yeah, well, there's the camera on top of the car when you put it in reverse. I just see there are cars.
Should have been backing
and
down
this
the
kid's
street.
going to be driving down the road.
Oh, wait. You should have gone backwards, Dad.
Yeah, why don't you slam on the brakes when you saw the cars? Why are you driving down the street I live on? That's the thing, too. It's the street they live on. Like, why'd you choose this route, dumbass? Why are you driving down the road I live on? You should have dropped me off in Peabody. And I could have walked. There's no cars there, dum-dum. Dumbass. He wants to fight too all the time.
Oh,
come on, let's box, because him and his dumb friends box, and he's like, let's box. Yeah, Milo, I don't want to box you. I don't want to box. You're a pussy. Come on, box me. No, I don't want to box you. Box the bird.
He does realize too that even though he might have you even in reach now and in height, that boxing they're divided by weight classes for a reason.
Yes. Oh no, he can't move me. I've achieved like fat old man power. Like he like if he goes to move me, like he puts all his weight into me, he can't move me.
You outweigh him by what? 20 pounds? 30 pounds?
Oh no,
more? 50?
Let's say I'm just say I'm 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Which I'm giving you some.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to be. Let's say I'm 200 pounds. I bet you he's 162, 140. I bet you I got 60 pounds on him.
Okay.
And so, he can't move me. And he's stronger than me. Like, he's more muscular than me, which isn't saying much. But he's got, muscles and everything. Like, he doesn't have my legs. He's got, regular legs like a real man. But he can't move me. It's because there's something about being 49. Like, your kid can't move you. And he tries. He'll take a running start and try to, move me, and he can't move me.
Bounces off. No.
He's like, I've tried every angle. So my daughter and I took a hat and put a ball under it, and we saw who would get it first, Milo or the dog. We're like, where's the ball? He's like, what ball? We're like, where's the ball? Deucey, where's the ball? Because Deuce is Milo the second. That's why he's Deuce.
Sure.
Because he ran into a window. So we're like, who can get the ball first? He's like, what ball? What ball? Meanwhile, the dog's frantically looking for the ball. I don't see no ball. But you'll be happy to know Milo won the contest.
That's like having two dogs, though. That's fun.
Yeah.
They entertain each other.
If I lay back on the couch, the dog will leap on me and push me. And if I stand in the kitchen, he'll run up and try to push me over. They're the same thing. And it's not like he...
And also barks at cars.
Barks at the birds.
And barks at birds.
And it's not... I'm not saying in any way he's dumb. It's just a 15-year-old's... Their attention is on nothing. Just like my point with the ball and the hat thing is that what? There's a ball in their hat, huh?
Meanwhile, the dog needs no further instruction.
The dog is just running around like crazy, just by happenstance will knock the hat off the ball. Meanwhile, my son's like, what'd you say? Huh? He's looking at his phone. What? Birds? What? Cars? Huh? Dad, what does yellow mean? Red means stop and green means go yellow. So he'll be driving along with you.
That's great. That's great. That's good news.
Stay away from Newton.
Fred, you first got upset last week at the very beginning of the Celtics Heat series by just a really innocuous statement made by Sean Grande.
Celtics are going to be rusty, Max. That's what everybody said. They've been off for a week.
Yeah, that was really dumb. And I've had friends text me and be like, what's his deal?
Well,
they're still pissed off from 2008 that he ruined the championship. He went into some apparently long drawn out thing that was annoying. But go ahead.
They are getting arrested.
This was last night as there was a whiteout in Miami for Game 4, and there were white T-shirts on chairs, and Sean Grande had something else in mind.
They are getting restless here in Miami. Boston by 12 on the ball. Jaylen Brown for Derek White straight away. Hate check, deep three, got it. They wanted it to be a whiteout tonight, and that's exactly what it has been in the first quarter. 16 for Derek White.
See, I kind of like that call. I think that's clever.
See, white T-shirts on the chairs. His last name is White.
I don't have a problem with that.
All right, there you go.
As much as, no, I don't have a problem with that. He's looking around. He's trying to do something with words.
A lot of empty seats.
Yeah. Okay.
I like what Max added also.
They wanted it to be a whiteout tonight, and that's exactly what it has been in the first quarter.
Okay, so.
Max, I mean, the man played the game. I mean, his number is retired. He knows.
He doesn't get paid by the word.
He broke it down for you right there.
He gave us everything we needed.
So you're in the car, you don't know what's going on, but Max just went woo 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 woo.
It was very impressive.
It is the
you can't just get some kid in there to do that. You need a
The man has his number retired. It's hanging from the rafters.
and he's been in these battles.
Yes.
He's been an MVP of the finals.
Yes.
I mean, this is a man who's been responsible for a championship, and that's the kind of insight that you get.
Well, Max did give some more insight, and he got in on the play on words with Derek White.
Tyler Hero having a rough go. Derek White, another pull-up three, and he's got it.
That man is hot. Hot. White hot.
See, that's beyond red hot. He's white hot.
Well, yeah.
And see, his last name is White.
Look, they're calling a disaster of a game. I mean, how much could you engage in that thing yesterday? Can you imagine having to call that? I mean, that's got to be a real chore. I mean, there's no one listening to that at the end of that game. I don't blame them. I'm going to give them all a pass. I know it's not the greatest radio, but I got to give them a pass on all of that.
Even
Caleb Martin dribbles out to the wing. Let's see if he's going to shoot. He will, forcing up a three. No good. Tatum will grab the rebound. The clock will hit triple zeros. And the Boston Celtics, again, have taken their talents to South Beach.
Okay, they've taken their talents. Again, my point with him saying we're taking our talents.
Okay. So he fixed that. You have no problem with them making the Derek White references, which I don't either. I thought the whiteout was clever. So you and Grandy are good again.
I don't have a problem with Sean Grandy as a man. I find his insistence on
Celtics are going to be rusty, Max. That's what everybody said.
His insistence on these like us against them mentality, or that it's like he's somehow this. I figured it out. It's like he positions himself as like the calm in the storm, like reason in a sea of madness. Like all right, you've heard. There's been enough talk. Like now it's time for the real expert to come to the microphone, the guy who calls the games, and it's just like, what do you know? Know so much. And then that's one thing to be like that kind of arrogance, but then to just make it up, like they're going to be rusty. Said no one ever. About the Celtics. No one thought the Celtics were going to lose to the Heat. No one thought they'd lose one game to the Heat, which was the only reason I was happy they lost to the Heat. That and that Gorman gets to call another game.
Just now that I hear Max.
That's the Canadian Max.
Maybe that's what he should say.
I don't know.
That's what Max should do.
I mean,
maybe if they play if they ever play the Wizards.
Is there any way they could sync? Not bad.
Close.
That's the Canadian Max. Boo, boo, boo. That's the guy doing the rant. All right, when we come back, Kristaps Porzingis is hurt. We'll tell you about the situation after the game and so much more in just a moment.
lead Miami 3-1 in their first-round playoff series after a 102-88 win on South Beach last night. Derek White hit 8 threes on his way to a career-high 38 points for the Green. Game 5 is back at TD Garden tomorrow night. The bad news is Kristaps Porzingis pulled up in the second quarter while dribbling the basketball and left the game immediately with what was termed right calf tightness. Al Horford's hoping for the best.
Yeah, I touched base with him. He's in good spirits, but, we don't know what's it going to be. I'm just, hoping that it's, nothing serious and that he can get back to us quick.
ESPN is reporting that Porzingis will have imaging done today. The early indications are he did not suffer an Achilles injury. The Patriots yesterday re-signed defensive lineman Christian Barmore to a 4-year, $92 million contract extension with $41.8 million guaranteed. The team has also released offensive lineman Connor McDermott. Bruins had last night off. They play Toronto at TD Garden tonight, leading that first-round playoff series 3-1. Judd Surratt and Bob Beers have the pregame at 6:30 and the face-off at 7 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Derek Forbert and Justin Brazeau are healthy and ready to go, but they're not sure bets to play tonight. Brad Marchand and Danton Heineman were both given maintenance days yesterday. The winner of the Bruins-Toronto series will play Florida next. The Panthers blew out Tampa Bay last night 6-1 to win that series in 5 games. And the Red Sox had last night off. They host San Francisco at Fenway Park this evening. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Cross Insurance, known for building winning partnerships with teams of all sizes. The official insurance broker of the Red Sox, Bruins, and Patriots. Visit crossagency.com. Cross Insurance, your team, your choice. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
It's not just the games. It's the preseason, the postseason, the drafts, the trades, front office drama, the locker room banter, and you talking all about
Blah,
it.
blah, 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 blah.
On Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Now, more Tuncher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Kick out Porzingis, and Porzingis drops the ball. He's hurt. Jalen drives, scoops into the left hand, no good. Shot was blocked out of bounds. It's going to go back to Miami, but Porzingis has to come out.
He can't come out.
He can't come out.
He's going to have to foul here.
And Derek White gives the intentional foul on Tyler Hero. Porzingis putting his hands on his head, walking gingerly to the Boston bench.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube. Simply go to YouTube, search 98.5 The Sports Hub, and then smash that subscribe button. Not even so much the like button, which you're probably just going to do because it's almost a moral code that if you like something on YouTube that you hit the like button. But if you hit subscribe, then riches come. From that come riches for all of us. And then the company pays taxes, and then that goes to your children's schools. And then the next generation is a better generation, and it all stems from your consumption of this show on YouTube. So that was the scene yesterday. If only that had happened in Game 5, so we could have bitched that if they only would have swept Miami, Porzingis never would have gotten hurt.
I was thinking the very same thing, though, last night, not necessarily about how long the series is going with Miami, but the futility of these early round matchups and whether they're playing games or the 1-8 matchup every year in the NBA. I'm like, yeah, you'd feel okay if this were happening even against Cleveland and certainly against the Knicks, but if you're going to lose a player to a team that realistically doesn't have any chance of beating you in a 7-game series, why do you play these things?
But you have to go through the exercise, and as we've discussed, and if you don't know, Porzingis, they thought, obviously everyone thought it was an Achilles, and he came off the court and he put his jersey over his face, and he was very upset. They know it's not an Achilles because you can tell with Achilles injuries if you've ruptured it, so they know that that's not the case. However, there is something wrong with his calf. He is fragile. He walked out of the stadium last night in a walking boot. He did tweet that, thanks for the support. And Derek White, he said, good W tonight. D. White is special. Thanks for the support. We'll be good. He put that up there. But the thing is that he is injured and he's going to be out. for a while. Like, even best case scenario, he's going to be out for a while.
I give you the example, we said it earlier in the show, of Giannis Antetokounmpo, who pulled up just like Porzingis did in a game against the Celtics 3 weeks ago, and he has not played since. And Porzingis is far less durable than Giannis is. So I don't think you'll see him in this series. You may not see him in the next series.
Well, I'll give you Dr. Evan Jeffries, who is a doctor of physical therapy friend, and he has diagnosed this based on 2 camera angles.
Which is what every doctor should put his reputation on the line and say, we should have psychiatrists just watch a short TikTok video and diagnose them as bipolar.
Right. This looks like a borderline schizophrenic disorder.
Yeah, I think, and then prescribe them medicine based on just that. I mean, what a reasonable and good thing for all doctors to do.
Well, that's his business. He's at Game Injury Doc. Hello.
Oh, okay.
All right, so he says, looks like a right calf strain. You can also see tape on his left calf, so probably was dealing with some sort of tightness, soreness prior on that side. MRI will determine severity and healing time. Grade 1, 1 to 2 weeks. Grade 2, 3 to 6 weeks.
Well, it's good that he pointed out the obvious, that he saw that he had a sleeve on his other leg. That's good to see.
I could have written the exact same thing
No,
with a
he's
little
got,
research.
He's got tape. You thought it was just a black magic marker. Turns out that was tape on his left
You
calf.
could be coming from Antarctica, never have seen basketball in your life, and watched a video of what happened and said that. You literally would have to have no knowledge of medicine nor the game of basketball. You could be taken from an indigenous tribe somewhere that has never been to seen Western medicine or the internet and show them that, and they could tell you sleeve on in whatever language they speak in or whatever clicks, sleeve on left leg, and that he hurt his other leg.
Yeah.
But that's nonsense. He's going to be out for more than 1 to 2 weeks. There's no way. And we talked to John Karalis, and he said that there's a chance that he couldn't come back until the NBA Finals based on the severity of the strain. But just based on Porzingis' size and fragility, I don't think that, in a week, would you bring him back in a week?
No.
I mean, that's nonsense.
Think about the way they've protected him all season.
If it was the finals.
And he's already hurt on the other leg, no. You, as I said, definitely not in this series, probably not for the bulk, if not all of the next series as well.
They're
going to start this coming weekend in round 2, if and when they put Miami away. So I would think the latest they'd start the next series would be Sunday or Monday, and then away you go. So, I mean, that's less than a week before you start the next series.
Yeah, I don't. No. I don't think that there's just based on him, and based on this team. I don't think there's any way he plays in the next series. I wouldn't play him.
I mean, look, you hope you finish Miami tomorrow night, and then you hope Orlando and Cleveland beat the stuffing out of each other. That's the only that series is 2-2. Game 5 is tonight. So you hope you have at least 3 games left there.
And you're talking like it's Cleveland.
No, it's
well,
Cleveland.
you've always said, and Karalis did the same thing. You guys both said Cleveland.
Well, I said
you're talking about like in the Cleveland series.
Cleveland is a bigger team. Orlando has some bigger players as well. Cleveland is more talented. They should win. I mean, this is Orlando's first real run at it.
They had almost identical records.
Yeah, this is the 4-5 matchup.
Yeah. You're that because I don't know. You're that convinced that Cleveland is the better team?
Cleveland has the best player. And Cleveland has better interior presence. So, yes, Cleveland is the better team, I think.
All right. You're no fan of the Michigan connection of Gary Harris and Franz Wagner?
No. Franz Wagner is a very good player, as is Paulo Banchero, your favorite player.
I don't have anything against Paulo Banchero.
Well, he's a Duke guy. You hated him when he was in school, if I remember correctly.
Well, I mean, I'm one of those rare eggs that doesn't care for the Duke program.
So... Yes.
You know who they have on their team?
Yes, the magician, Jonathan Isaac, who has never quite lived up to that potential.
Well, he's been hurt.
Yes.
He's the Porzingis of Orlando.
He's Porzingis times how much?
Yeah, well, he's Porzingis having never played.
Yes.
Seeing Porzingis roll his ankle 2 possessions before that, hit on his left side, and then obviously this is a right calf thing. We saw the right boot when he was leaving I mean, he's a mess from the knees down on both sides.
Well, his body, he's 7'3", he's 190 pounds, and he's wearing down everything. Like his ligaments there's got to be some kind of there's got to be some kind of structural situation in his body that it's just not meant for playing this much. You've heard
Dr. Evan Jeffries thinks it's some kind of a genetic disorder. He thinks there's been a mutation somewhere in the Porzingis bloodline.
Well, that's what he does a lot of Zoom calls where he does his genetic research via Zoom, and he counts your chromosomes via the internet just by a 5-minute face-to-face. No need to investigate. No, listen, there will be no needles or knives. We will just do the investigation this way. But they talk about it. They say with the AAU and like kids playing year round that like college kids will get hurt and then they'll look at their knee and they'll be like, wow, this is like the knee of a 50-year-old because there's no time off and that they're doing the same movements over and over again. And then you add to that Porzingis' size and weight. I mean, he's not built for the long haul, let's be honest. This is a man with a freakish body. And freakish skills. I mean, if he wasn't this injury prone, he'd be a borderline Hall of Famer. With his skill set, you have to think, right?
7'3" guy who takes threes, blocks shots. Yes,
like he can handle the ball if he has to. Like he's like a freak, like a total freak. But the thing is that he's just with that comes the downside of injury. And it's no one's fault. It's not the team's fault. It's not his fault.
Never been more evident than this year because the Celtics, like, you want to take a few games off. We know you're healthy, but take another day. Take another game. Take another couple of days before we bring you back. I don't know what more they could have done to get him ready for the playoffs either.
All right, Barun? Baron?
Hey, guys. How's it going? It's Varun.
All right, Barun.
Just wanted to ask you guys real quick. So, obviously we're talking about the Porzingis injury here. And, I'm not particularly concerned about the Heat right now. But I'm looking at the point totals that the Celtics are scoring in these first couple of games. And then looking ahead, like, the other teams have better defenses than the Heat. So I was just wondering how you could see this, like, playing out, like, in terms of us actually scoring points. Thanks, guys.
Johnny Wall game, you analyze. You're the play-by-play guy.
I'm not worried about that. It all has to do with the certain matchups. Miami is playing very physical, and they play lower scoring games because, unlike a lot of other teams, they don't try and score 150 points. I don't know off the top of my head, but I'll bet you anything Miami was in the bottom half of the league in points per game, probably closer to the bottom. They have fewer possessions, which means you get fewer possessions. Playoff basketball, you take more time off the shot clock. You don't score 130 points a game. I mean, Indiana led the NBA in scoring. They're not scoring 130 points a game like they did during the regular season. So scoring is going to be down anyway in the playoffs. I don't think it's a massive problem here.
Yeah, Miami was the 8th best defensive team, so you're right. You know who slows the game way down? Are the Denver Nuggets. If you're looking ahead in your programs. That is so if slowing down the game is a problem for the Celtics, that's going to be a major problem.
The Celtics offense was, as getting back to Sean Grandy, historically good this year. Sean has all the numbers to back that up.
Oh, and he'll let you know.
So I'm not worried about them putting points on the board.
They're the fourth. They're up there. Johnny Wall game. They're up there.
Yeah. So it's different. Playing Miami is different than playing Cleveland or Orlando. It's just a different kind of series and a different kind of game. Scoring will go up. The Celtics defense is very, very good. Was all year, but again, you have that Porzingis factor. They're going to change everything around.
Yeah. All right, so there you go. This is maybe they lose. You give Gorman another game, and maybe they don't.
What?
And you know what I figured about Grandy that bugs me? I think he's talking down to the fans. Like, I think he's like, you morons had your time to talk, and now it's time for the professionals to come in. I don't think it's like even talk radio. I just think he's like you plebeians have had your off days to yammer on about something you have no knowledge about.
Celtics are going to be rusty, Max. That's what everybody said. They've been off for a week.
Like that snotty, snide way of saying it. It rubs me the wrong way.
I can see that.
You don't understand what I'm saying?
No,
Like
I can see that it does rub you the wrong way.
No,
I'm
no,
teasing you
not
at
my
all.
reaction. Do you see where I'm coming from, John, as a fellow broadcaster?
I think Sean's style is very good, and I can see how it rubs some people the wrong way. I don't think he's necessarily as bad as you make it out to be.
Well, I don't think he's a bad play-by-play guy. That's
no,
not fair.
I'm talking
That's
about
not fair.
Talking
That's not fair.
down.
Come on, John. That's not fair.
Talking down to people. I don't think it's nearly that bad.
Do you, Hardy, think that he's talking down to people? Am I on an island here? I will take my bullets if I am.
Not only do I think he's an excellent play-by-play guy, I agree with him. I think you said the Celtics were going to be rusty, and you're just trying to wipe egg off your face.
I am. Because I am known as a sports expert.
I can't hear you. Could you remove your foot from your mouth first, please?
I think that he comes off as very arrogant, incredibly arrogant, and in a job where there's no need. There's no need to be arrogant. Like you don't have to be. Just say what's happening. That's what your job is, not to be arrogant.
Do you think you were upset by when you hear arrogance in another broadcaster because it reminds you of someone?
Who? Zolak?
Wow.
The Hillman? Who? Not Greg Hill, the man. The character Hillman. Is that who you're talking about? I don't know to which you refer.
Do you hear a bit of yourself in Sean Grande?
Oh.
Is that the problem, Fred?
And you're saying I'm peering into a mirror?
And you talk
and I
down
don't
to
like
the
what I
audience
see?
every day. Yeah.
I know what happens when you peer into a mirror.
Skeet, skeet. Oh, look at you. Look at you. Yeah. Yeah. Boo, boo.
That's a guy from Toronto. They're big. That's their big, mean curmudgeon.
The only pain Boston felt was from the Gardner Expressway when they made their way back to Pearson. Enjoy the lane closures, Coach Montgomery.
And take a left at the Tim Hortons, Canada, by the way.
Instead of a gas bag.
I'm just a gas bag. You know what really grinds my gears is this Maple Leaf team's just a bunch of pussies.
That is the pain Toronto was built to inflict.
They were built to inflict pain, not sit there and just take it.
Without fail.
If you're going to be a bottom, at least be a power bottom.
Oh, Jesus.
Whole lot of nothing.
If you're going to be what? Wait, repeat that.
No, do not repeat it.
I want to make sure I heard that right.
Yeah, you heard it.
I've only got one ear, so I want to make sure that
deaf in one ear. That's true.
I want to make sure that I'm.
All right, very good. We will be back
this information correctly
in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sport.
traded down and took the 6th of 6 guys. Third round, the tackles, which they really needed, were pretty much all off the board except for one guy who's a right tackle and probably shouldn't have gone there, but they just took him because they had the need.
Felger and Mazz, weekdays at 2 on 98.5 The Sports Hub. We're back with Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You know, I got an idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
All right. It is the email bit. You can email JON. We left the H where it belongs. JON at 985thesportshub.com to get to John.
Yep.
I'm Toucher at 98.5 The Sports Hub. I take it Hardy is Hardy at 98.5thesportshub.com.
That's right.
And D. O'Brien with an E at 98.5thesportshub.com. He wants it on it for some reason. I know what he wants it. He wants 2 trips to Hawaii.
Yes. Don't want in on it. I just felt as though if we're giving out email addresses. When you're not here, sometimes when Ryan Johnston is in, he's like, no, I don't have a public email address. You're like, oh, okay, thanks.
Oh, great.
What's he got going on?
I don't know, but
All right.
email away if you'd like.
2 people caught this, if you recall, where credit is due. Scott Zolak, for some reason, during the first break yesterday, latched on to, I forget what even we were talking about, but I said guy with a mustache. And he came in, he goes, oh, guy with the mustache. And no one knew what he was talking about. But 2 people got this, and I said, I'll give you $20 if you can go through that and find the guy with the mustache. And this guy, he didn't leave a name. He goes, I tried calling in.
Nicholas!
How many times have people tried calling in? Nicholas' job ostensibly is to answer the phones from 6 to 10, and then he has other responsibilities after that. But from 6 to 10, the main job should be answering the phones. But he's being pulled in many directions. I tried calling in, but it kept ringing.
This was yesterday?
When discussing the attendees at the Revs game, you went on a tangent and started listing the cast of 227. You said the guy with the mustache was there. Clearly, Scott didn't get the reference and asked you who the guy with the mustache was.
And you were referring to Sherman Helmsley at that point?
No. He's not on 227. He might have been a guest star, but no, it's just some guy with a mustache. He was like the Marla Gibbs' dad.
What was the
or
Sherman?
not dad, husband.
What was the Sherman Helmsley church?
Amen.
Amen.
A very watchable show. It was directed towards us, though. I mean, it was Seinfeld Amen. It was like, if you loved Seinfeld, you'll love Amen. That was the thing. It was a Tyler Perry vehicle pretty much before Tyler Perry had vehicles. Amen. Go ahead. You guys go.
Hal Williams was the actor.
Of course. Well, now we've finally identified him. Hal Williams.
We're not done. We're going to go through his entire IMDb.
Thank you.
Television and movies.
Please do.
I have one from LD. With all the clips being played of Drake May saying, yeah, it occurred to me much like he will need good coaching on the field, he could use a little linguistic training. Is naked guy in the trunk available to improve his yeah delivery?
Might have wanted to give someone a heads up you were reading that beforehand.
Yeah. I apologize.
Because now everyone's frantically got to be looking for naked guy in the trunk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might want to give someone a heads up on that, Johnny Boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's that one. Jen says, Deep Pockets, Mr. T promised a sweet $20 to the person who proved he talked about a mustachioed man infiltrating the exclusive suite box you were in. Attached, please find a photo record of your podcast where it is clearly stated. I didn't say I would give $20 to anyone. I said I'd give $20 to Scott, and he didn't find it. Jen, you did. So that means $20 stays in my pocket. That means that no one gets anything.
Sorry. It wasn't $20 to anybody.
No, it was $20 to Scott.
Yeah.
Hal
Now,
Williams.
if you can find a video of me saying that I would give $20 to anyone,
give you $20.
I'll keep the $20. That means I get to keep it.
Hal Williams appeared in the, I'm going to go ahead and say, underrated movie, Guess Who? Starring Bernie Mac and is the no, not Hal Williams, the Kushner kid, the Mr. Demi Moore. What's his name?
Ashton Kutcher.
Or yes, the Too Much Tuna guy. Yeah, Ashman Cushman. Yeah, I think he plays like the grandfather in Guess Who. I like that movie.
I have
I'll
no
watch
idea
that.
what you're talking about.
I've never seen it.
You never seen it's the spin on Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, but this time
I never saw Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. This is a reference to a reference that I don't know.
Guess Who's Coming to Dinner is, I want to say, 1960s. Dan O'Brien will know this one. He's of an age. Is it Sidney Poitier who's in the original Guess Who's
Sidney
Coming?
Poitier is in the original, yes.
And he is the black man who is brought home by a white woman to meet her parents.
Oh, I can't imagine that goes well.
Hijinks ensue.
It's a comedy,
It's
I take
wacky.
it.
I don't know. I've never
Is it
seen
like when
It's,
Styx...
it's like the monkeys, Fred.
Is it like when Styx shows up and this really happened on an episode of Happy Days and Fonzie said he got a girl a date to the prom and she goes, "Who is it?" And Styx walks in and she faints because he's black? That I'm not making that up. That happened. And you want to hear another story that happened involving Fonzie? Henry Winkler was friends with Sylvester Stallone, late 1970s. Stallone gives him the script to Rocky. Winkler takes it to ABC. He goes, "I want to make it." They go, "We'll buy it." They go, "You can produce it." He goes, "Awesome." They go, "One thing. We want to put our own writer on it. Stallone can't write it." Winkler takes it back to Stallone. He says, "Hey, they'll make it. That's the good news. The bad news is they want someone else to write it." He goes, "You can't do that to me." He goes, "Fine." ABC allows him to buy it back, which is not traditional in the industry. They could have had the rights to the Rocky franchise. It could have been a TV movie.
But they would have obviously screwed it up. I mean, Rocky won the Oscars, Best Picture.
No, but if they would have let Stallone keep the point is that if they would have just bought it and left it be, they could have had Rocky could have been a property of the American Broadcasting Company.
I understand.
All right, do you have an email? You haven't read one.
No, I have Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and it's a 1967 romantic comedy starring not only Sidney Poitier, but Spencer Tracy and Catherine Houghton. I thought it was Hepburn. I don't know who Catherine Houghton is.
No, it was Katharine Hepburn. The final time they were together in a movie.
Hepburn's in it too?
Katharine Hepburn.
Oh, yeah, there she is.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's confusing to have she plays Catherine Houghton. There we go. I do have an email directed. Now, it's only addressed to me, Fred, but it references you. And this is from Zach. As a man who would know what Fred alluded to with his hockey voice is something I will endorse fully as a truth. But furthermore, to keep it to hockey, I like to be Bobby Orr with my partner and change the position entirely. So what you said earlier, yes, I choose not to dwell on it, but this man endorses.
Well, I mean, it's something that exists. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
It exists.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the world. It cannot be. I mean, you can cover it up as much as you want. I don't know why you would, but it is in the world. And Bobby Orr is like a on your stomach, like laid out.
I don't know.
Well, I would assume, or unless you make the shape of a 7.
Don't know.
I would assume it's the famous after he scores the goal in the 72 finals.
Yes.
That it's a diving position. Maybe it's an aerial position.
That would be different.
It's also known as the Mission Impossible. You put some cables on and they lower you down.
From the ceiling.
From the ceiling.
Yes.
It's good.
You gotta hover
Mission
there
Impossible.
for a while.
Well, no, you hover there through the whole act, John, would be the point.
I see.
Is that you're suspended like Bobby Orr forever in statue form. But in order to do that, you would have to have some kind of contraption to keep you there above the floor.
Right.
It's one of those things, you set it up, you go through it, you're having fun, and when it's all done, you sit back and you look at those cables suspended from the ceiling, and you're like, God, what am I doing with my life?
If there is
This
a
was
position
so much
called the
work.
Bobby Orr and it's called the Bobby Orr, I got to hand it to the gay population for being so ahead of the curve and so creative.
Right. We got plenty of emails yesterday explaining to us why Messi plays the way he does and explaining the greatness
I had
to it.
people I know reach out to me all right. They're like, you don't know anything about soccer. And I'm like, yeah.
No kidding.
That's about right.
Yeah. But I saw you don't understand. Messi can stand there and then he's super fast when he gets the ball. And I'm like, okay, well, that's what I said is that he just stands there.
Isn't that amazing that all of us, knowing nothing about soccer, were able to pretty much nail that?
Yeah, he did. I can't think of another sport. I really can't think of another sport where you just stand there that much. And everyone pats them on the back for being in such great shape. I mean, he really doesn't have to do anything. In basketball, you at least have to make the half-assed attempt to get back on defense most of the time.
Cover both sides of the court.
Hockey's hockey. In football, you have to. I guess baseball. That baseball is the one sport that is like soccer, where you really, if you're Manny Ramirez, like there's probably weeks where he didn't run. Like Manny Ramirez, there's probably weeks he didn't run to first and weeks he didn't run after a ball in left field.
Yeah.
The best is Manny Ramirez would screw up like really bad and everyone would laugh. Like he would just laugh and everyone would laugh as if there was no consequences to it.
Yeah, everybody was in on the joke. We're having a good time out here. Look at me. Yeah. That's
just Manny screwing up.
That's so Manny.
Pretty much.
Classic Manny.
Can't DH him. Because then Lord knows what he'd get into. There'd be fires in the back. Like if they DH him, it's too much time on his hands. Like they can't keep an eye on him.
I was going to say they put him out there so they can keep track of him.
That's why they never.
There he is.
That's why they kept that stupid green monster, so they could just they could keep left field where he didn't have to get nothing would go over his head.
Well, it would, but it would come right back to him.
And he couldn't get too far away if they didn't have the green monster. Well, he'd go further on the left.
Except the time he figured out how to get through it to take a leak.
That's right. I didn't come back.
There's a door. I can get through this thing. I have to relieve my bladder. Fred, I don't know if he's a power bottom or not, but I got to tell you, I love it.
RC emailed in to say that Bill Keene's Fantasy is a great band name, and I think it would be.
Yeah, that might have been a little too much on Family Circus, but it does bother me. I can't tell you what else to say. If I was doing stand-up, I'd do just a whole set on Family Circus. All right, Hardy, we will come back with the stack. We will have that for you, and then we will bid you all adieu as we hope that the Bruins can finish things. It certainly seems like Toronto, their fan base is already fed up. Hopefully that is festered into the team, and they can win a first-round series. I really just want them to win a first-round series. Everything after this is pretty much gravy. It really is. With the amount of centers that they've lost, with the lack of offensive talent on this team, if they just win the first round series, everything else is gravy. Give us this, and do it tonight. Don't do it Thursday. Do it tonight. That would be nice. You're home, you win it, you rest up a little bit, and then you're on your way.
Could be Jack Edwards' last game tonight,
and that's a shame. That's a shame. I'm glad they honored him before the last regular season game, and they gave him the gold stick and everything else. So that's sad. Gorman and Jack Edwards. That's sad that the both of them are going to be gone. Do we know who's doing the Bruins now?
I don't think so.
What if it's Sosi, and then they have to get another kid, and then it's Ryan Johnston?
You mean Judd Surratt?
Judd Surratt, rather. Yeah. What if it's Judd Surratt gets the TV gig because he's good, and then that means Ryan Johnston would get the radio gig.
Yep.
And then everyone's happy except for Wallach.
And I'd be jealous as hell if that happened. Be good for Ryan.
Well, that makes us feel good, John. Do you see how it is, Hardy?
He just doesn't want to be here. I didn't know until just now.
I mean,
sorry that this is so awful for you, John.
I mean, that's why he doesn't even tell you that he's going to go to the naked guy in the trunk, and it's not even your clip, and that you're supposed to find that somehow miraculously right after he reads it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
$367 to get into that Knicks game tonight. Lowest price.
Is that right? That's a get-in price? Wow.
$30 to get in the Cavaliers game.
Yeah,
$27 to get in the Bucks game.
It was 7. What was the game I was talking about? It was 7.
New Orleans.
The New Orleans game. It was 7 last night.
Well, they're not trying. Why should you?
Yeah.
All right. We will be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines. probably have missed from the show. It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
All right, we're Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. All right, Hardy, what's going on?
Well, thank you to Faith Pinot of Boston.com, who is calling this Tom Brady celebrity roast more of a reunion than roast, as Bill Belichick is set to join not just the panel and be there on the dais, but among the roasters. Bill Belichick is now expected to be there. This is going to happen on Sunday on Netflix at 8 p.m. It's being billed the greatest roast of all time. It's going to be live on Netflix, hosted by Kevin Hart. And as we already knew, Randy Moss.
It's going to be live.
It's going to be live. Randy Moss, Julian Edelman, Drew Bledsoe, Rob Gronkowski, and now Bill Belichick.
Because the roasts that they did on Comedy Central were like 3-hour affairs that they would knock down to 44 minutes. So, like, Tommy Davidson did one where he bombed so bad that they just left him out of it. Like, they didn't even put any of his roast in. So, this is a bold strategy, which is going to.
Comedians.
So, Monday, buckle up. Jesus. Because there's going to be nothing else to do. I mean, no need to do anything else. It's just going to be entirely that roast because these are a lot of non-comedians. Now, Belichick everyone will laugh just when he swears. Like, just hearing him, like, even if he talks remotely human, people will like that. But it's going to not be funny. It's going to be a lot of douchey moments.
Well, Ben Affleck is listed as probable. So now they're listing these roast attendees as, like, injury reports. Questionable, probable.
What comics are going to be there?
Well, Jeff Ross will be there. Kevin Hart, who is the host, and it's also part of the Netflix is a Joke comedy festival. And there's a lot of comedians on Netflix. So if there are others in town, maybe you'll persuade a few of them to drop on by.
Do you think anyone will dare make a Cat Williams joke to Kevin Hart? Because Cat Williams has been very, very critical of Kevin Hart as he was to P. Diddy. And now we see the hot water P. Diddy's in. So if you read...
If it's a real roast, then they should. I would say no, not at the Tom Brady roast. They're not going to go there.
You don't think Jeff Ross would? Because...
I would. Oh, my God. I mean, I like Jeff Ross. I would love Jeff Ross if he were to do that.
Because I don't know if you're following any of this, because it's not in like... USA.
The mainstream media.
It's not like CNN or something. But if you follow this, there's a lot of smoke around... The obvious is Puff Daddy. I mean, obviously, the Secret Service went in and raided his Miami home. But if you've been watching the comments by Cat Williams and 50 Cent and all this stuff, Kevin Hart's like in that orbit. And just watch the Sterling Sharp interview with Cat Williams that started kind of this whole thing. It's like hard to decipher, but because Cat Williams is like a wet cat. Like, I mean, he really is. But he's going on and on about Kevin Hart and about how Kevin Hart came from Philadelphia to L.A. with a TV deal and he had never performed and da-da-da. How did he get that deal? And look at what... There's a whole lot of material sitting right there. He's in a very vulnerable position. So you could attack him for that.
You could. Anyway, Sunday, Netflix.
I mean, there's things to make fun of Tom Brady about that would be mean. There's stuff in his personal life, that in his past, that you could make fun of that would be like mean, that would be appropriate for a roast. It will just be interesting to see if anyone but Jeff Ross does it. Jeff Ross will.
Was Tara Reid ever a part of any of these roasts? Was she ever up there? I mean, they've had a billion of them.
I don't think they could get her.
Yeah. She's listed as probable. She's in many other commitments.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to be able to land Tara Reid.
Major League Baseball is going to change up their uniforms. Now, Nike is the uniform provider, but by the start of the 2025 season, why? Complaints from players and fans. So they're going to restore the larger lettering and nameplates, and there will be correcting for mismatched gray tops and bottoms, pants that are sometimes see-through, and fabric that looks different when players sweat.
Yeah, this is a story that's been a big story that I don't know why anyone would possibly care, except the players. Like, if it's see-through, like, I guess, because a lot of them don't wear cups, Adrian Beltre, despite how many times they get ripped by ground balls in the nuts. But unless you're the player, I don't understand why you would possibly care about the uniforms. I don't care.
If you can't see the nameplate, they changed the size of the nameplate, and it's hard for people to see them, I guess. That's my guess.
There's your phone and the number. You could just do that.
Yeah. The report said the memo blamed Nike, the memo from the players, and its new performance-focused Vapor Premier uniform. They said this has been entirely a Nike issue. Nike responded by saying, this is entirely a sweatshop issue, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. Someone might actually have to go over there, they said.
Is that what they said?
No.
They said we're going to have to start paying our factory workers?
I added that last paragraph.
This is a guy from Canton, Michigan, ladies and gentlemen. UAW. Don't get in his way. Union proud, union battle. That's right.
My cousin Gene Poole, when I pulled up at his Labor Day picnic
His name
one
was
year.
Gene Poole?
Gene Poole. Eugene Carson Poole. I pulled up at Gene Poole's house for the Labor Day picnic in my Volkswagen GTI that I was so proud of. Oh, little red GTI that I bought with my own money. I pulled into his driveway. He said, why don't you go park that piece of crap over in Germany? Because Gene Poole was a big UAW head for years. Used to speak at other unions and strikes and everything else. Gene Poole, UAW.
You didn't see that coming?
I was 17 years old. I wasn't thinking about the make and model of my car. I thought it looked cool. It was a stick shift. It was fun to drive. Nope, not in my driveway.
All right.
Yeah, I never drove. I've never had. At one time, I had, and it was a terrible car. I've only had a foreign car once, and it was a terrible, terrible car. I burned the clutch out, and they said, you're driving it wrong. And I said, all right, well, you're going to drive around with me and tell me what I'm doing wrong. Because it was manual. And, or not manual, it was, manual. And so, so I'm like, all right, if I did this, if this isn't just a piece of garbage, then you come around with me and show me. By the way, there's a new king of douchebag cars driving like douchebags. There is a new king of it. And they've surpassed the old German company.
Yes.
As every time I get cut off, every time someone's driving like an idiot.
You really got to go a long way to pass those guys.
They have been passed. They've been lapped.
Really?
Dan is right. Dan knows.
I knew the first one when you said the German,
Yeah, because that was what everyone thought.
Okay, but it's not a German company, this one?
It is not.
It is not a German company.
Is it? It's not an electric vehicle, is it?
Oh, it's an electric vehicle.
5 letters.
Look how fast this thing is. Zip, 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 bang!
It doesn't make any noise. Yes, and obviously you need that noise, you piece of garbage. Like, why don't you drive worse, you douchebag? It's got a big screen in it. It makes a fun noise when I hit the horn.
They're better than you because they drive one.
Oh, and that for some reason, every old person bought one.
Yep.
Like, there's all these old people because
all of them go 10 miles an hour.
Or they go super fast. I was making a left with my son in a neighborhood, and this around a corner.
Yeah.
Tesla comes going like
there it is.
50 miles an hour, and I get pissed off, but then I see it's an old lady, and I'm like, what am I going to do about it? Like, it's an old lady?
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's a Tesla. And then I'll get cut off. I'll go, oh, Jesus Christ, it's a Tesla. Like, I'll be trying to get on Route 9, and, someone will, drive evenly with me, so I can't merge onto Route 9, and I have to stop. It's a Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a Tesla. I just can't stand it anymore. It's so surpassed the German company that may or may not advertise that it's not even funny. Plus, I'm fond of someone who has one of those cars. So I maybe I'm pulling off that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Back that one.
Not much of a driver, the person, but
finally, Slipknot going to be celebrating the 25th anniversary of their self-titled album, Iowa, as they bring Slipknot and Knotfest back to Iowa for the 25th anniversary.
I like
of
the
their
guy in the
debut
mask
album.
that hits the big drum. He's a guy in the band. I got to imagine it's equal pay between him and Corey Taylor.
What the self-titled? Okay, whatever.
Self-titled album Iowa.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were such a knothead.
All I said was debut album.
All right, debut album, whatever. It's they're going back to Iowa to celebrate, and Knotfest has been a thing, even though Slipknot not always performing at Knotfest, which seems odd. You'd think the guys in Slipknot could perform at Knotfest every single year, but that has not been the case.
One of my old interns is a morning show host in Des Moines at a rock station, and it just seems like a nightmare. They have her out constantly at garbage, because every garbage band, because it's only crap bands that come to Des Moines, and so they have her out at all these shows and tractor pulls and all this nonsense. It just seems like an awful existence. So I can only imagine what it's going to be like for her when this Knotfest comes.
Well, Rammstein will not be there, but Till Lindemann from Rammstein will be there.
He's just going to light himself on fire, and that's going to be the set.
Guar and the band's Knocked
The
Loose.
dude from Guar's dead.
Hatebreed. You don't know that once they dress up in all their stuff. It could be anybody, like the dude in Static X.
Died tragically. All right, that'll do it for us. Everyone have a great day. Where are your brethren, your midday brethren? They're not even here.
I would imagine traffic. It's a big oogie mess out there from what I hear.